Chapter 197. It's broken. Our ancient ink merchant alliance's 1,000-year-old ancient formation has been broken. Looking at the scene of Yi Chunfeng forcefully breaking through the formation, Mo Yuyan, Elder Mei, and the others were completely overwhelmed by shock from the depths of their souls. They stood in place, unable to utter a single word for a long time. When Mo Fenggu and Mo Fengchao of the ancient ink merchant alliance saw the ancient formation being broken, they trembled uncontrollably and their minds went blank. It was as though all their energy had been sucked out of them. Let's go in and take revenge. Yi Chunfeng, who had broken through the ancient formation that had been passed down for thousands of years in the most domineering manner, walked through the gap in the ancient formation and strolled into the chaotic ancient ink merchant alliance like he was taking a stroll in the park. Seeing Yi Chunfeng's proud and domineering back, Yunichang's charming face revealed a mesmerizing smile. At this moment, ripples appeared in her proud heart. Don't come over. If you come over again, I'll kill him immediately. The two brothers, Mo Fenggu and Mo Fengchao, were scared out of their wits. Seeing Yi Chunfeng walking towards them step by step, a lot of cold sweat appeared on their foreheads. They held a haggard old man who was covered in blood and had a withered face, and warned him loudly. Grand Elder. Seeing the two brothers holding the old man hostage and torturing him beyond recognition, Mo Yuyan's heart ached. She gnashed her teeth and said, "You two bastards, quickly release the Grand Elder. Otherwise, I'll make sure you don't even have a corpse left. If you want me to let him go, I can, but you have to agree to let us go. Otherwise, we'll fight to the death." Mo Fenggu pressed his right hand on the Grand Elder's head and madly threatened. "Qingfeng, do you have a way to save the Grand Elder from the two of them?" Although Mo Yuyan really wanted to kill Mo Fenggu and Mo Chunfeng personally to avenge her dead parents, the Grand Elder was very important to the ancient ink merchant alliance. More importantly, he was Mo Yuyan's great-grandfather. Mo Yuyan could not bear to see anything happen to him. She sent a voice transmission to Yi Chunfeng, whose eyes were shining. "We can give it a try, but it's risky." Yi Chunfeng pondered for a moment before replying via voice transmission. With his current strength, although he had the ability to kill a Grade 1 mystic beast ancestor, it was very difficult to do so in an instant unless he used the 7 swords of judgment. "Qingfeng, I'll leave everything to you. Whether you succeed or not, I won't blame you." Mo Yuyan bit her lip and sent him a sound transmission. "Nikhang, I'll kill Mo Fenggu in a moment. You attack Mo Fengchao and try your best to save the ancient ink merchant alliance's Grand Elder." Yi Chunfeng transmitted his voice to Yu Nikhang. "Qingfeng, can you kill Mo Fenggu in seconds?" Upon hearing Yi Chunfeng's voice transmission, Yunichang's eyebrows twitched slightly. She replied in shock, "He's a level 1 mystic beast sect expert. I can." Yi Chunfeng replied firmly. "Mo Yuyan, our patience is limited. If you don't agree to let us go, don't blame me for being merciless." Mo Fenggu saw that Mo Yuyan didn't reply for a long time, and the uneasiness in his heart grew stronger. He warned loudly, "Yuyan, promise him." At this moment, Yi Chunfeng transmitted his voice. "All right, I agree to let you go, but you have to promise that you won't harm the Grand Elder's life. Otherwise, I swear I'll grind your bones to dust." Mo Yuyan nodded and said deliberately, You better not play any tricks. Otherwise, he's dead for sure. Get out of the way." Hearing that Mo Yuyan had relented, Mo Fenggu and Mo Fenggu secretly let out a sigh of relief. With a warning, they seized the Grand Elder, who was on the verge of death, and tried their best to get away from Yi Chunfeng, who gave them an extremely dangerous feeling. They quickly escaped from the ancient ink merchant alliance. Just as the two of them turned their backs to Yi Chunfeng, a high-pitched and penetrating dragon's roar rang out. A blood dragon emitting a terrifying dragon's aura appeared around Yi Chunfeng's body. Its might shook the surroundings. Not good. A dragon's roar reverberated in their ears. Feeling the pressure brought about by the blood dragon, Mo Fenggu and Mo Fenggu's hearts trembled. They suddenly turned around, but before they could say anything threatening, they realized that the perfect sword force gushing out of Yi Qinfeng's body had locked onto them. 7 Swords of Judgment, Extreme Frost. Yi Qinfeng controlled the complete sword aura and forcefully deduced the power of the Great Tao. A sword radiance that froze space tore through the void like a swift shooting star and bombarded Mo Fenggu, whose expression changed drastically. Feeling the terror of Yi Qinfeng's sword, the despairing Mo Fenggu wanted to crush the Grand Elder's head and perish together with him. However, Yi Qinfeng's attack was too fast. The cold air from the extreme frost sword radiance froze their bodies and greatly slowed their movements. Tisk! The extreme frost sword radiance broke through Mo Fenggu's defenses like a hot knife through butter. His body exploded, and he was killed instantly. At the same time, Yu Nikhang also attacked Mo Fenggu the moment he died. The sharp aquamoon everlasting sword sliced off his arms, which were frozen by the cold air from the extreme frost sword radiance. She saved the dying Grand Elder of the ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. Gu, what level of soul skill was that? How could it be so powerful? Witnessing Yi Qinfeng using the 7 Swords of Judgment to kill Mo Fenggu, and Mo Fenggu, all of them were stunned. Mo Yuyan, Elder Mei, and the rest felt their hearts tremble. In their memories, they had never seen such a powerful soul skill. It could be said that the attack power of the 7 Swords of Judgment was beyond their imagination. Yi Qinfeng's strength was even more shocking. Qingfeng, I realize that you are hiding a lot of things from me. Yu Nikhang took a deep breath and suppressed the shock in her heart. She looked at Yi Qinfeng with a burning gaze and said tactfully, "Everyone has secrets, don't they?" Yi Qinfeng smiled and looked at Yu Nichang's charming face. "Humph. Sooner or later, I will make you tell me your secrets willingly." Looking straight into Yi Qinfeng's deep eyes, Yu Nikhang felt like she was seen through by him. Her heart inexplicably sped up. She snorted and stopped asking questions. "Qingfeng, thank you. Thank you for saving the Grand Elder's life." At this time, Mo Yuyan and the rest came to Yi Qinfeng's side. Because Yi Qinfeng's performance was too strong, Mo Yuyan's tone had changed a lot. Her tone was filled with reverence. "Yuyan, I will leave the rest to you. We are a little tired and want to rest first." Although Yi Qinfeng had 1 foot in the realm of a Class 4 heavenly beast immortal, and the soul power in his body was comparable to a Class 5 heavenly beast immortal, the 7 Swords of Judgment was still a Tao skill. It was very strenuous for him to use it, and his soul power was almost exhausted. "Okay, I will arrange a place for you to stay." Mo Fenggu was dead, and Mo Fengchao was seriously injured. There was no one in the entire ancient Ink Merchant Alliance that could threaten them. Mo Yuyan immediately ordered Elder Hong to arrange a place for Yi Qinfeng and Yu Nikhang to rest. Yi Qinfeng and Yu Nikhang had just settled down. Using Yi Qinfeng's remaining power to control the situation, Mo Yuyan, who had killed Mo Fengchao to avenge her parents, came to their courtyard. Chapter 198. Yuyan, why are these 2 devil crystal bones so small? Yi Qinfeng looked at the 2 sealed devil crystal bones in the box that Mo Yuyan handed over. They were a third smaller than the one he had refined. He frowned slightly and asked in a low voice. "The devil crystal bones vary in size. The one I carry is the largest of the 3. These 2 are relatively smaller," Mo Yuyan explained softly. "So that's how it is." Yi Qinfeng nodded. "Oh right, Yuyan, can you help me sell these spirit tools and earth tools through the ancient Ink Merchant Alliance's channels and exchange them for 2 bottles of elixir detoxification medicine and mid-grade soul crystals?" Yi Qinfeng asked as he took out the soul tools and some useless items he obtained from killing General Zmo and the others. Although the sword puppet had fused with 150,000 mid-grade soul crystals, Yi Qinfeng had more than 260,000 mid-grade soul crystals. However, when he thought of the unknown dangers in the underwater cave, he felt that these soul crystals were far from enough. He was thinking of ways to exchange them for mid-grade soul crystals. Qingfeng, why do you need mid-grade soul crystals so much? Mo Yuyan was a little curious when she thought of the 200,000 mid-grade soul crystals she had given him, but he still wanted to exchange them for mid-grade soul crystals. The more the better. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, Qingfeng, why don't you sell these spirit tools and earth tools to the ancient ink merchant alliance? I will give you 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals and 2 bottles of elixir detoxification medicine. What do you think? Earth tools were extremely precious on 3 Stars Island. Mo Yuyan didn't want these spirit tools and earth tools to flow out and fall into the hands of other merchant alliances. She decided to buy them at a high price. Okay, deal. Yi Chunfeng nodded and agreed very happily. Qingfeng, you helped me take revenge and take back the ancient ink merchant alliance. I should have given you more rewards, but after the recent turmoil, the ancient ink merchant alliance's strength is much weaker than before. In order to get the ancient ink merchant alliance back on the right track as soon as possible, I can only give you this much for now. However, if you are willing to stay in my ancient ink merchant alliance for a while longer, I promise that when my ancient ink merchant alliance recovers, we will definitely reward you even more, Mo Yuyan said softly. Don't worry, I won't leave before going to the undersea cave, Yi Chunfeng said. Qingfeng, it's not easy to open the underwater cave abode. You first need to obtain the keys of the Celestial Star Merchant Alliance and the Solitary Cloud Merchant Alliance. If my guess is correct, those 2 keys should be in the hands of their Grand Elders, Mo Yuyan reminded. When the time is right, I will make a trip to the Heavenly Star Merchant Alliance and the Solitary Cloud Merchant Alliance and take their keys. Although the 2 Grand Supreme Elders were very powerful, Yi Chunfeng was not afraid of them since he had the sword puppet. Qingfeng, rest well. 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals and 2 bottles of antidote water will be sent to you in a moment. Hearing that Yi Chunfeng was willing to stay in the ancient ink merchant alliance all for the undersea cave abode, Mo Yuyan sighed inwardly. She took away the soul items that Yi Chunfeng had sold and left. Chunfeng, this Mo Yuyan seems to have fallen in love with you. She wants to keep you here forever. After Mo Yuyan left, Yu Nishang purposely said with her alluring red lip, Don't waste words. Do you want to cultivate to the muscle refinement realm? Yi Chunfeng rolled his eyes at Yu Nikhang and changed the topic. You have a way? Yu Nichang's eyes brightened. She looked expectantly at Yi Chunfeng. I originally wanted to use these 2 devil crystal bones to cultivate to 60% of the bone forging realm. However, these 2 devil crystal bones are too small. The energy they contain is far from enough. So I'm prepared to give you the smallest devil crystal bone. With this devil crystal bone, you should be able to cultivate to the small success stage of the muscle refinement realm. Yi Chunfeng nodded. In order to obtain even greater opportunities in the undersea cave abode, Yi Chunfeng had no choice but to think of a way to increase Yu Nichang's strength. At least you have a conscience. Yu Nikhang revealed an enchanting smile. Alright, when I'm refining the demonic nature of these 2 devil crystal bones, help protect me. Don't let anyone disturb me, Yi Chunfeng instructed solemnly. A moment later, Elder Mei personally arrived at Yi Chunfeng's courtyard. She took out a spatial pouch containing 300,000 middle-grade soul crystals, as well as 2 bottles of pill poison dispelling medicine, and gave them to Yi Chunfeng. Adding on the 300,000 middle-grade soul crystals, Yi Chunfeng now possessed an astonishing 560,000 middle-grade soul crystals. After Elder Mei left, Yi Chunfeng had Yu Nikhang stand guard outside. He placed down several layers of restrictions in his room and undid the first Devil Crystal Bones restriction. Suddenly, boundless black demon chi was released from the demon crystal bone, converging into a ferocious demon face, roaring and roaring in the room. Blood Dragon break! Because the 2 devil crystal bones were relatively small, the devil chi they contained was far less than the previous one. Yi Chunfeng condensed his spiritual beast, the blood dragon, and fiercely fought with the devil face. Soon, the ferocious devil face was torn apart. After the devil face was torn apart, it immediately turned into a large amount of black light that surged into Yi Chunfeng's soul like a tide. God-Eater brain, swallow and refine. Yi Chunfeng, who was already prepared, immediately controlled the God-Eater brain to release a powerful swallowing force to swallow the devil chi contained in the devil crystal bones. After a fierce battle, the God-Eater brain completely suppressed the devil chi and swallowed it bit by bit. After swallowing a large amount of devil chi, the God-Eater brain quickly squirmed and split into a large number of brain cells. The embryonic form of a child brain became more and more obvious. I wonder if the God-Eater brain can split into a second child brain after swallowing the devil chi contained in the second devil crystal bone? After the devil chi contained in the first devil crystal bone was swallowed by the God-Eater brain, Yi Chunfeng had a splitting headache. He let out a long sigh of relief and muttered to himself, quietly adjusting his breathing to recover. About 6 hours later, Yi Chunfeng recovered and undid the second devil crystal bone's array formation. It released endless devil chi and continued to control the God-Eater brain to swallow and refine the devil crystal bone. Time slowly passed. Yi Chunfeng endured the pain in his soul and controlled the God-Eater brain to swallow the devil chi contained in the second devil crystal bone. After splitting a large number of brain cells, the God-Eater brain finally gave birth to a second child brain. I finally have a second child brain of the God-Eater brain. Yi Chunfeng knew how terrifying the God-Eater brain was. If it weren't for the God-Eater brain turning the tide, he would have been killed by the sword puppet in the true spirit mystic realm. After resting for a while, Yi Chunfeng didn't immediately refine the devil crystal bone. Instead, he took out a bottle of elixir to eliminate the elixir toxins in his body. After everything was ready, Yi Chunfeng boldly swallowed the devil crystal bone and operated the soul-devouring secret art to refine it. The devil crystal bone exploded in Yi Chunfeng's stomach, crazily surging into every meridian in Yi Chunfeng's body. Yi Chunfeng felt his body tremble as his body began to swell. Tiny cracks appeared on his meridians due to the energy released by the demonic crystal bone. Bone forging! Yi Chunfeng clenched his teeth, forcibly pushing the energy released by the devil crystal bone through his flesh and into his bones. Every time he pushed in a strand of pure energy, he felt a piercing pain. A large amount of sweat gushed out of his forehead, rolling down his face. As his body withstood the inhuman torment, the strong-willed Yi Chunfeng clenched his teeth. He didn't cry out as he bitterly endured. Slowly, half a day passed. The energy contained within the devil crystal bone penetrated through Yi Chunfeng's flesh and blood, completely fusing into his bones. After cultivating to 50% of the bone-forging realm, his physical strength had reached 350,000 genes, and the moment his body grew, he could no longer suppress his cultivation. His overflowing soul force erupted, directly breaking through the bottleneck and reaching the 4th-level heavenly beast immortal realm. Break! After breaking through, Yi Chunfeng's eyes flew open. He shot up from the ground and punched out at the several layers of restrictions in the room. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Chapter 199. 3 Stars Island, within the Celestial Star Merchant Alliance. Alliance leader, according to reliable news, the young man that Mo Yuyen invited tore apart the ancient formation that had been passed down for thousands of years. Now that Mo Fenggu, Mo Fengchao, and the 4 dark demon generals are all dead, Mo Yuyen has forcefully taken back the ancient ink merchant alliance. A short, middle-aged man in a black robe with sunken eyes immediately reported what had happened in the ancient ink merchant alliance to the alliance master of the Celestial Star Merchant Alliance, Xing Wudao. 4 swords tore apart the ancient formation that had been passed down for thousands of years. As an old enemy of the ancient ink merchant alliance, Xing Wudao knew the power of the ancient formation that had been passed down for thousands of years. Therefore, when he heard his subordinates report, he couldn't help but gasp. What is the strength of the person who tore apart the ancient formation? Xing Wudao frowned as he asked in a serious voice. According to the information from our spies in the ancient Ink Merchant Alliance, that person is only a level 3 heavenly beast immortal, the black-robed man reported truthfully. That's impossible. How can you believe this kind of news? Xing Wudao immediately refuted. A level 3 heavenly beast immortal can kill the 4 dark demon generals? Tear apart the ancient formation that had been passed down for thousands of years? That person must be hiding his strength. He's probably even stronger than the Grand Elder. Alliance leader, should we send someone to test his strength? The black-robed man asked respectfully. No need. I think someone will test that person's strength for me. Xing Wudao waved his hand and said. Alliance leader, you mean the Dark Demon Assassin Organization? That's right. In order to fight against our 2 merchant alliances, Mo Fenggu and Mo Fengchao went all out to rely on the Dark Demon of Xinyue Island. Now that the 2 of them are dead, and the 4 Dark Demon generals have been killed, with the Dark Demon's personality, they definitely won't let this go. I think that in a few days, the Dark Demon will attack the ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. At that time, we will know the true strength of that mysterious expert. The news of Mo Yian's powerful return swept through the entire 3 Stars Island like the wind, and Yi Qinfeng's shocking methods made all the factions on 3 Stars Island gasp in shock. However, all the factions seemed to have discussed it beforehand. None of them tested Yi Qinfeng's strength. They were all waiting for the Dark Demon's revenge. Mystic Moon Island was an even larger island that spanned nearly 1,000,000 nautical miles. The island was rich in resources, and the clan's strength far surpassed that of 3 Stars Island. The infamous Black Demons were on this Mystic Moon Island. Sword Demon, are you still in seclusion? A tall and sturdy man wearing a black robe embroidered with skulls walked into a dark and terrifying forest on Mystic Moon Island. He stood in the depths of the forest, outside a cave that emitted a dark and cold aura, and said in a low voice. This black-clothed man was none other than He Mo's true master, the level 6 mystic beast ancestor. Hey Mo, Black Demon, are you looking for me? Just as Black Demon finished speaking, a deep voice came from the black cave. A skinny old man with long black hair casually draped over his shoulders and a snakeskin sword on his back walked out of the cave and called out Black Demon's name. Black Demon didn't care about this, because the old man with the sword on his back was He Mo's number 2. He was only 1 step away from the level 6 mystic beast ancestor, and his sword art was superb. Something happened to the ancient Ink Merchant Alliance on 3 Stars Island. Mo Fenggu and Mo Fengchao, who relied on us, were killed. Even the Purple Demon General and the Green Demon General died. Who did it? Sword Demon frowned slightly. Although he was cold and didn't care about the life and death of the Purple Demon General and the others, he wouldn't allow Black Demon to be provoked. I heard that it was a level 3 heavenly beast immortal young man, Black Demon said. Do you believe this news? Sword Demon's cold face didn't have any change in expression as he asked coldly. I didn't believe it at first, but I heard that the young man has a top-grade spiritual beast, the Blood Dragon, and has cultivated his sword aura to perfection. I have no choice but to believe it. Black Demon said in a deep voice, in this world, there are some geniuses who have the strength to kill enemies above their level. Perfection sword aura. Sword Demon's deep eyes shot out rays of light as he looked at Black Demon and said, that person has really comprehended perfection sword aura. This news should be true because the information I obtained from several sources confirmed that the young man has comprehended perfection sword aura. His attack power is very shocking. Black Demon nodded and said, and I heard that he also has a heavenly treasure heavy sword. Since when did such a person appear on 3 Stars Island? After practicing the sword for his entire life, the Sword Demon knew very well how difficult it was to cultivate the sword force to perfection. When he found out that a young man had cultivated the sword force to perfection and even had a heaven-tier heavy sword, an intense battle intent surged in his body. Black Demon shook his head and said, "That person isn't from 3 Stars Island, but from overseas. However, we can't find out his true identity right now. Leave that person to me. I'll go meet him." Sword Demon had developed a strong interest in Yi Chunfeng. He decided to temporarily give up on breaking through to the 6th level of the Profound Beast Ancestor Realm and go to 3 Stars Island's Ancient Ink Merchant Alliance to assassinate Yi Chunfeng. At this time, Yi Chunfeng didn't know that the Black Demon Organization's number 2 assassin, Sword Demon, had already set his sights on him. He was currently guarding Yu Nikhang in the courtyard. Because Yu Nichang's soul incantation was far inferior to the soul-devouring incantation, the speed at which she devoured the Devil Crystal Bone was extremely slow. She spent an entire 2 days to only absorb a third of the Devil Crystal Bone's energy. However, using this third of the Devil Crystal Bone's energy, she had cultivated the Viscera Refining Realm to perfection. Her internal organs had undergone a qualitative transformation, and her physical strength had reached 25,000 pounds. Just what is this Devil Crystal Bone? The energy it contains is actually so powerful. If I refine the remaining Devil Crystal Bone, perhaps I really can cultivate the Tendon Refining Realm to minor completion. Feeling the changes in her physical strength, Yu Nikhang revealed a trace of joy. She continued to use the soul incantation to refine and absorb the Devil Crystal Bone's energy, slowly tempering her entire body's meridians. Time passed day by day. Relying on her iron fist, Mo Yuyen cleansed Mo Fenggu and Mo Fengchao's trusted aides and reformed the entire Ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. Just as the Ancient Ink Merchant Alliance was gradually on the right track, Sword Demon appeared outside the Ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. He wore a black robe and had a snakeskin sword hanging on his back. The instant Sword Demon appeared, Yi Chunfeng, who was guarding Yu Nikhang, suddenly opened his tightly shut eyes. His deep eyes shone with boundless light as he looked in Sword Demon's direction. In the next instant, Yi Chunfeng's body slightly moved. Like an unsheathed sword, he cut through the sky and appeared outside the Ancient Ink Merchant Alliance at an extremely fast speed. Chapter 200. You've really comprehended the sword momentum to perfection. Sword Demon's turbid eyes were as sharp as a knife. He looked at Yi Chunfeng, who had his hands behind his back and his sword momentum soaring to the sky, and spoke with high fighting spirit. "Who are you?" Yi Chunfeng's pupils contracted into the most dangerous pinhole shape as he looked at Sword Demon's skinny face and asked in a low voice. Although Sword Demon's sword momentum comprehension was far inferior to his and had only comprehended the sword momentum to the 6th heavenly layer, Sword Demon gave him an extremely dangerous feeling. He had no doubt that Sword Demon had the strength to kill him. "My name is Sword Demon, the 2nd master of Black Demon. I'm here to kill you today," Sword Demon said in a cold voice. As he spoke, the sword momentum in his body instantly condensed and turned into a giant sword that could split the sky and earth. It carried a powerful destructive force and slashed toward Yi Chunfeng. Perfect sword momentum. Sword Demon condensed his sword momentum and slashed. Yi Chunfeng's perfect sword momentum gushed out and soared into the sky. The terrifying sword power stirred the air and broke the sword momentum attack released by Sword Demon. Peak of 5th level Mystic Beast Grandmaster. During the fight, Yi Chunfeng used the ability of the God-Eater Brain to probe Sword Demon's true strength and felt a huge pressure. Perfect sword momentum is really powerful. Sword Demon's turbid eyes turned brighter after witnessing the power of perfect sword momentum. He had been trapped in the 6th heavenly layer of sword momentum for more than a decade. He had always dreamed of fighting with a top swordsman to deepen his comprehension of sword momentum and break through to the 7th or even 8th heavenly layer of sword momentum. Yi Chunfeng, whose strength was far inferior to his, was the best opponent for him to fight, which made him feel as if he had obtained a treasure. As for killing Yi Chunfeng, he was not in a hurry. In his opinion, with Yi Chunfeng's strength as a 4th-level celestial beast immortal, he could kill him in a matter of seconds. Sword Momentum 6th Heavenly Layer, 100 Sword. Sword Demon let out a roar as the 6-fold sword force gushed out from his body and pierced the sky, causing the color of the sky to change. In the blink of an eye, the sword force released by the Sword Demon transformed into hundreds of sword shadows. Like rolling waves, they bombarded Yi Chunfeng one after another, trying to crush him. "You want to use me to practice your sword?" Although the sword attack launched by the Sword Demon was fierce, it was just pure sword power without a trace of soul power. It could not threaten Yi Chunfeng's life at all. This made him realize the Sword Demon's intention. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, and he didn't hesitate to release the perfect sword momentum to meet the Sword Demon. The two powerful sword forces collided with each other like two rivers colliding with each other. Endless waves were set off, riddling the air with holes. Although this Sword Demon's understanding of sword force is inferior to mine, his understanding of sword force is above mine. Perhaps I can deepen my understanding of sword force by fighting with him. Yi Chunfeng muttered in his heart. While activating the perfect sword momentum to defend against the Sword Demon's attack, he also controlled the God-Eater brain to comprehend the Sword Demon's understanding of sword force. As the sword force released by the two became more and more violent, the two terrifying sword forces collided in mid-air, stirring up endless sparks. Due to the destruction caused by the two's battle, large areas of the ancient Ink Merchant Alliance's buildings collapsed. The ground was also filled with sword scars, trembling violently. "Elder Mei, is there an enemy coming?" Hearing the huge tremors outside, the exhausted Mo Yuyen immediately walked out of the house. Seeing Elder Mei rushing over, she asked loudly. "Not good, young Mississippi." The second in command of the Black Demons, the Sword Demon, suddenly appeared in our ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. Young Master Yi is currently fighting with him. Elder Mei anxiously reported. "What? The Black Demons actually sent the Sword Demon to deal with us? Elder Mei, is Chingfeng in danger?" Mo Yuyen's expression changed greatly, and she couldn't help but cry out. Mo Yuyen knew how terrifying the Sword Demon was. Even the #1 person on 3 Stars Island, the Celestial Star Merchant Alliance's Great Elder, was not a match for the Sword Demon. This made her worry for Yi Chunfeng. The Sword Demon's strength is too terrifying. With our strength, we can't help young Master Yi at all. We can only pray that young Master Yi still has a trump card that can repel the Sword Demon. Otherwise, I'm afraid he won't be able to escape the Sword Demon's murderous hands. Elder Mei sighed softly and said worriedly, "Trump card? What kind of trump card can allow Chingfeng to defeat the Sword Demon, who is an entire realm above him?" Seeing the intense sword force clash in the distance, Mo Yuyen bit her lips, and the uneasiness in her heart grew stronger and stronger. What's going on? Who is Chingfeng fighting with? At this moment, Yu Nikhang, who heard the huge commotion, stopped her cultivation and hurried to the front courtyard of the ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. When she felt the suffocating sword force in the sky, she nervously asked. "It's the Black Devil's second head, a level 5 mystic beast ancestor," Mo Yuyen softly informed. "What? A level 5 mystic beast ancestor?" When Yu Nikhang learned of the Sword Demon's strength, her expression changed greatly. She didn't even think and immediately rushed out, wanting to help Yi Chunfeng deal with the Sword Demon. "Nikhang, don't come over. I can deal with him. Don't worry about me." When he felt Yu Nichang's aura appear, Yi Chunfeng, who was constantly urging his sword force to attack, immediately transmitted a message to her. He was afraid that she would attack the Sword Demon and encounter danger. Sword Force 6 Heavens, Myriad Sword Tide. While Yi Chunfeng was distracted, the Sword Demon pushed his sword force to the maximum, turning into a myriad of sword tides that swept towards Yi Chunfeng. He wanted to suppress Yi Qinfeng's sword force and force out his potential, allowing him to comprehend more. Perfect sword force, Grand Tao energy break. As for Yi Qinfeng, he realized that he was unable to deepen his understanding of the sword force from the sword demon while they were fighting. He gave up on the idea of continuing to fight with the sword demon and forcefully activated the perfect sword force to evolve the power of the great Tao. He easily shattered the thousands of sword waves that were attacking him and bombarded the sword demon, whose expression changed slightly. What kind of attack is this? Sensing how terrifying the Grand Tao energy evolved from the perfect sword force was, the sword demon didn't hesitate to release his powerful soul power, shattering the Grand Tao energy. An endless storm filled the air. Taking advantage of the moment when the sword demon clashed with the Grand Tao energy, Yi Qinfeng used form displacement phantom and escaped towards the forest northwest of the ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. Where do you think you're going? Seeing Yi Qinfeng trying to escape, the sword demon unsheathed the longsword on his back. A sharp sword light cut through the air and pierced towards Yi Qinfeng's back at an extremely fast speed. Yi Qinfeng's soul perception was extremely sharp. The moment the sword demon attacked, his body shook slightly and turned into 9 afterimages. He dodged the sword demon's attack and continued to run towards the forest. Demon killing sword. The sword demon relied on his absolute speed to close the distance between him and Yi Qinfeng. The high-grade earth-grade longsword in his hand slashed out a black sword light, carrying a powerful demonic aura, towards Yi Qinfeng. Golden Rock Bloodline, Speed Amplification. Just as the black sword light was about to hit Yi Qinfeng's body, Yi Qinfeng activated the thin Golden Rock Bloodline in his body and increased his speed again. He used form displacement phantom and moved in an extremely short amount of time, dodging the black sword light and successfully escaping into the forest northwest of the forest. Sword Puppet. When Yi Qinfeng jumped into a lush bush, he summoned the sword puppet. Facing the invincible sword demon, Yi Qinfeng could only rely on the sword puppet to deal with him. Brat, you are too stupid. You will only die faster if you stay here, the sword demon said coldly as he flew into the forest. Streaks of sharp sword light cut through a large number of ancient trees. As hundreds of ancient trees collapsed, Yi Qinfeng's movement speed was slowed down. Chapter 201. 1. A shocking sword beam rose from a lush thicket, instantly shattering the thicket and slashing towards sword demon, whose expression had changed greatly. Demon killing sword. The sword demon did not expect a peerless expert to be hiding in the forest. He slashed the air with his sword and a pitch-black sword ray pierced through the air and collided with the sword puppet's sword ray. Rank 5 Mystic Beast Ancestor. The sword demon's face slightly changed after receiving the sword puppet's attack. He could not believe that he could not detect the presence of an expert in the forest with his soul perception. Master, I'll leave this person to you. While the two of them were fighting, Yi Qinfeng used Shifting Phantom and appeared behind the sword spirit puppet, shouting loudly. Move to the side, I'll deal with him and take his life. The sword puppet's eyes shone brighter than the stars as it said domineeringly. What big words, I'd like to see how you're going to kill me. The sword demon's face sank as a huge saber-toothed tiger appeared behind him. The saber-toothed tiger roared towards the sky and the sword demon's soul power instantly erupted as a lightning-fast sword ray pierced towards the sword puppet's chest. The sword puppet did not dodge the sword demon's lightning-fast sword ray and rushed towards it. You're courting death. The sword demon did not expect that the sword puppet would not dodge his attack and wanted to use its body to block it. He revealed a sinister smile. But in the next moment, the sinister smile on his face froze. His turbid eyes widened as he revealed an expression as if he had seen a ghost. Chi! The sword light that was as sharp as a bolt of lightning struck the chest of the sword spirit puppet. It was as if it had struck a piece of black iron, causing numerous sparks to rise. However, it did not harm the sword spirit puppet in the slightest. Just as the sword demon revealed a horrified expression, the sword puppet quickly struck out with its sword. Endless sword rays swept towards the sword demon and forced him to dodge in a sorry state. The sword puppet's attack did not stop as it struck out again and again. In the blink of an eye, dozens of sword rays pierced through the sky and sealed off the sword demon's escape routes. Demon killing sword. Unable to dodge, the sixfold sword force gushed out from the sword demon's body. He wielded his high-grade earth-tier longsword and thrust out a sword light that looked like a black dragon, intending to forcibly tear apart the sword puppet's attack. Although the demon-killing sword displayed by the sword demon was powerful, each strike of the sword puppet was extremely powerful. Dozens of sword rays swept together, creating an attack that was enough to shatter a mountain. Rumble! The demon-killing sword immediately trembled as it struck the sword rays that were wreaking havoc. After only 2 breaths, the demon-killing sword was shattered by the intertwining sword rays of the sword puppet. The undiminished sword light continued to strike sword demon's body, riddling his high-grade earth-tier armor with thousands of holes. A large amount of blood flowed out uncontrollably. After injuring sword demon with dozens of sword rays, the sword puppet's body flashed and suddenly approached the bloodied sword demon, launching a close-range attack. The sword demon was proud of his top-notch attack and speed in the same realm. However, he was helpless in the face of the sword puppet's invincible defense. His advantage was completely suppressed, and he quickly fell into a passive position. He could only use all his skills to neutralize the sword puppet's ferocious attack. Slowly, the sword demon's defense became weaker and weaker, and his counterattack speed also became slower. He knew that if this continued, his defense would be broken by the sword spirit puppet sooner or later. At that time, he would be in even more danger. Damn it! What kind of freak is this guy? Why is his defense so terrifying? Is he wearing a heaven-tier armor? The sword demon felt that he had struck the sword puppet more than 1,000 times, but it did not bleed or suffer any damage. This made him suspect that the sword puppet was wearing a heaven-tier armor, but he did not doubt its identity. After all, refining such a puppet was far beyond the sword demon's knowledge. He did not even think about it. Lightning Slayer sword. The sword demon, who was retreating, roared. His surging soul power intertwined with the sixfold sword force and slashed out with the strongest sword he knew. As the sword slashed out, heaven and earth shook. The sixfold sword force transformed into streaks of lightning-like sword rays that shattered the air and slashed towards the sword puppet's head, which was its weakest point. Lightning intent. As expected, although the sword demon's understanding of sword force is inferior to mine, his understanding of sword force is incomparable to mine. I didn't force him to use his strongest ability earlier, so I didn't gain anything. Looking at the streaks of lightning-like sword rays that tore through the air, Yi Chunfeng knew that his understanding of sword force was far from enough. He still had a long way to go if he wanted to improve and comprehend sword intent on a deeper level. The sword demon unleashed his most powerful soul skill, but the sword spirit puppet still didn't dodge. Its body was like a peerless treasure sword, condensing a destructive sword aura as it slashed towards the lightning-killing sword, forcibly tearing it apart. What? Is it not human? The sword demon's heart trembled when he saw the sword puppet's head being attacked by lightning. He finally began to suspect the sword puppet's identity. But at this moment, the sword puppet closed in on him again. It used its hand as a sword and continuously attacked the sword demon, forcing him to retreat again and again. Soul power ignition. In this perilous situation, sword demon took a deep breath and burned his soul power at all costs to increase his strength as much as possible. He unleashed his lightning slayer sword again in an attempt to force the sword spirit puppet back and escape as quickly as possible. But when his strongest attack hit the sword puppet's body, it still did not cause any damage to the sword puppet. Just as the Sword Demon's mind was wavering, Yi Chunfeng, who had been waiting for an opportunity, made his move. A high-pitched dragon's roar resounded from Yi Chunfeng's body. Perfect sword force, 150,000 kilograms of strength, was poured into the titanic fault heavenly sword. The terrifying power shook the air and dense ripples appeared. 7 swords of judgment, extreme chill. Yi Chunfeng's attack power had reached the limit. He controlled the perfect sword force and forcefully deduced the power of the great Tao, using the strongest attack he had mastered so far. The extremely cold sword light was like a meteor, freezing the air and bombarding the sword demon's body. It wanted to cooperate with the sword puppet to kill him. Lightning Slayer's sword, calamity of death. At this critical moment, the sword demon, who was burning his soul power, spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Using his blood as a medium and his body as a guide, he struck out with a thunderous attack. The 2 powerful attacks collided, and the explosion was earth-shattering. The vegetation within a 1-mile radius was instantly incinerated, and the ground was filled with crisscrossing cracks. Pooh! Facing the calamity of death head-on, the extreme chill sword light was instantly shattered. Yi Chunfeng was also sent flying by the terrifying aftershock. He spat out a large amount of blood. The sword demon relied on his absolute strength to severely injure Yi Chunfeng. At the same time, the sword puppet suddenly rushed into the storm of destruction. It burst out several sharp sword lights and attacked the severely exhausted sword demon. After a round of fierce attacks, the sword demon's body was severely injured. Streaks of hideous bloody wounds covered his body. If not for the sword demon's terrifying strength and his powerful soul power, which forcefully weakened the sword puppet's fierce attacks, his body would have been minced into minced meat by the terrifying sword lights. Blood Escape. Chapter 202. Sigh, this sword demon is too terrifying. Even with the sword puppet's strength, I still couldn't kill him. Seeing the sword demon escape using the blood escape art, the heavily injured Yi Chunfeng couldn't chase after him, and revealed a regretful expression. In the battle with the sword demon, the sword puppet had consumed a total of 60,000 mid-grade soul crystals, and Yi Chunfeng had also suffered heavy injuries. This made him deeply realize that he was still too weak. I have to hurry to the underwater cave, otherwise, I'm afraid something unexpected will happen. Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself. He quickly took out 3 spirit-grade soul cores from his Qiankuan bag and swallowed them. He circulated the soul-devouring art to refine them and heal his injuries. About 2 hours later, Yi Chunfeng, who had cleared the pill poison, used the 3 spirit-grade soul cores to heal his injuries. After recovering from his injuries, Yi Chunfeng didn't immediately return to the ancient Ink Business Alliance. Instead, he took out his communication pearl and sent a message to the anxious Yu Nikhang and Mo Yuyan to assure them that he was safe. Then, he took the sword puppet to the Celestial Star Business Alliance, the strongest alliance on 3-Star Island. He wanted to snatch the key to the underwater cave. At this time, the Celestial Star Business Alliance and the Solitary Cloud Business Alliance immediately learned that the Sword Demon had appeared in the ancient Ink Business Alliance and fought with Yi Chunfeng through the informants they had planted in the ancient Ink Business Alliance. A Class 4 Heavenly Beast Immortal who released his sword aura and didn't fall into a disadvantage against the Sword Demon. What kind of monstrous genius is this? He actually has such terrifying talent and ability. The Celestial Star Business Alliance's Alliance Master, Xing Wudao, revealed an extremely shocked expression when he heard that Yi Chunfeng had released his sword aura and faced the Sword Demon head-on. That person's talent is indeed terrifying, but talent doesn't mean everything. He's dead for sure now that the Sword Demon has targeted him. Once he's killed, Mo Yuyan will have no one to rely on. At that time, the ancient Ink Business Alliance will change again. Our Celestial Star Business Alliance can seize this opportunity to swallow the Celestial Star Business Alliance's territory and strengthen our forces. An old man in a dark gray robe, with white hair and a long beard, and eyes as deep as the sea, took a sip of tea and slowly said, "This gray-robed elder was Xing Wudao's father, the former leader of the Heavenly Star Merchant Union. He had just broken through to the third level of the profound beast ancestor Xinghai. Once we slowly devour the ancient Ink Merchant Alliance and snatch the key to the underwater cave abode that Mo Yuyen holds, we will be able to deal with the solitary Cloud Merchant Alliance with all our strength. Once we snatch the key from the solitary Cloud Merchant Alliance, the underwater cave abode will be exclusive to our Celestial Star Merchant Alliance." Xing Wudao's flat eyes shone with ambition as he fell into a beautiful fantasy. "Old Alliance Master, bad news. That fiend has come to our Heavenly Star Merchant Alliance." Suddenly, a panicked voice came from afar, pulling Xing Wudao back from his beautiful fantasy. "What's wrong? Who's here?" Xing Wudao asked unhappily when he saw his subordinates running into the palace. "It's that Yi Chunfeng," the Celestial Merchant Union's disciple reported. "Yi Chunfeng," Xing Wudao muttered and suddenly stood up from his chair. His expression changed drastically as he said, "You're saying that Yi Chunfeng has come to our Celestial Merchant Union? Could it be that he wasn't killed by the sword demon?" Xing Wudao had already learned of Yi Chunfeng's name from the spies he had planted in the ancient Ink Merchant Union. When he found out that Yi Chunfeng wasn't killed by the sword demon and had even appeared outside the Celestial Merchant Union, his heart was in turmoil. Could it be that he hid his true strength? Did he beat the sword demon? Thinking of this, Xing Wudao's eyes revealed a deep sense of apprehension. "What? Does the Alliance Master want me to be killed by the sword demon so badly?" Before the Celestial Merchant Union's disciple could reply, an arrogant voice resounded in the palace like thunder. Yi Chunfeng, who was dressed in a white robe and had a tall and straight figure, exuding a fierce aura from head to toe, and the sword spirit puppet, who had a cold and expressionless face, intimidated the disciples of the Heavenly Star Merchant Union as they slowly walked towards the central hall. What a fierce aura! Xing Hai's eyes lit up when he sensed Yi Chunfeng's aura. However, when he saw the sword puppet beside Yi Chunfeng, a deep sense of danger arose in his heart. He kept guessing their intentions in his heart and didn't act rashly. "Yi Chunfeng, the one who wants to deal with your ancient Ink Merchant Union is the Black Devil, not our Celestial Merchant Union. What are you doing here?" Xing Wudao concealed the shock in his heart very well as he looked at Yi Chunfeng and Xing Hai, who were strolling into the palace, and asked in a low voice, "The two of us, master and disciple, have indeed come uninvited. We want to ask for something from the Alliance Master. Once we get it, we will leave immediately," Yi Chunfeng said indifferently. Master and disciple. After learning about the relationship between Yi Chunfeng and the sword puppet, Xing Wudao, Xing Hai, and the others immediately looked at the sword puppet with reverence. They guessed that the one who had truly repelled the sword demon wasn't Yi Chunfeng, but his mysterious master. "May I know what you want?" Xing Wudao asked in a low voice, suppressing the anger in his heart as he sensed how terrifying the sword puppet was. "We want the key to the underwater cave abode," Yi Chunfeng said indifferently as he looked at Xing Wudao's solemn face. "That's impossible. Don't even think about it. We will never give you the key to the underwater cave abode." Xing Wudao's expression was extremely gloomy as he rejected it without even thinking. He would never have dreamed that someone would immediately ask for his key just as he was thinking about the keys in the hands of the other two merchant unions. If it weren't for the sword puppet, the furious Xing Wudao would have already taught the lawless Yi Chunfeng a lesson. "Star Union Master, we came sincerely. You won't let us go back empty-handed, right?" Seeing Xing Wudao's gloomy face, Yi Chunfeng smiled faintly and said fearlessly, "Don't worry. Yi Chunfeng, aren't you too arrogant? Don't think that you can look down on our Star Union just because you repelled the sword demon. Let me tell you, if you push us too far, we won't let you go back." Xing Wudao could no longer control the anger in his heart. He smashed the square table beside him into pieces. Like an enraged lion, he glared angrily at Yi Chunfeng and warned him loudly. It seems that Star Union Master isn't going to hand over the key to the underwater cave abode. The sword puppet standing beside Yi Chunfeng suddenly spoke. Its eyes were as sharp as knives, and its body erupted with a monstrous aura that made Xing Wudao and the others feel suffocated. Level 5 Mystic Beast Ancestor. Feeling the fierce aura emitted by the sword puppet, Xing Hai, Xing Wudao, and the others' expressions changed drastically as they looked at him as if they were facing a great enemy. "Isn't it rude for you to show off in front of our Star Union?" Just as the sword puppet erupted with a powerful aura, a deep voice rang out in the oppressive hall. The ancient Ink Merchant Union's Grand Elder Xingyun was wearing a linen robe. His body was slightly stooped, and his hair was white as snow. He slowly walked over with a golden walking stick. Chapter 203. Grand Supreme Elder. Xing Wudao and Xing Hai heaved a sigh of relief when they saw Xing Yun's sudden appearance and the activated ancient array in the hall. Impolite? Since ancient times, the law of the jungle has always been the rule of the world. Since the three great merchant alliances are guarding such a huge treasure trove, you can't enter. Why don't you give it to me? Under the control of Yi Chunfeng's mind, the sword spirit puppet let out a deep and stern voice as it spoke tyrannically. The key is in Ai's hands. If you want it, come and get it. Xingyun, who had controlled the Star Merchant Alliance's ancient array for more than 1,000 years, had already fused with the ancient array. As long as he was in the ancient array, he could continuously extract energy from the ancient array and control its attacks. After fusing with the ancient array, Xing Yun could erupt with strength comparable to a level 6 Mystic Beast Grandmaster. This was also the reason why he dared to face the sword puppet head-on. Yi Chunfeng, I've already said it. Don't think that you and your master can look down on our Celestial Star Commerce Alliance just because you defeated the Sword Demon. Not to mention you, even the Black Demon himself wouldn't dare to barge into our Celestial Star Commerce Alliance. I hope you can be a better person in your next life. There are some people you can't afford to offend. Xing Wudao's eyes were filled with viciousness as he spoke in a complacent manner. You are too naive. The sword puppet looked coldly at Xing Yun, who had fused with the ancient array and was covered in white light, and spoke with neither joy nor sorrow. As he spoke, the sword puppet walked over step by step. With every step it took, the ground would tremble slightly. The powerful sword aura also increased with every step it took. The terrifying sword aura made Xing Yun and the others breathless. Ancient array power destroy. Xing Yun felt that the sword spirit puppet's footsteps had an indescribable demonic power. It was as if every step it took was stepping on his heart, making him feel extremely uncomfortable. He hurriedly controlled the power of the ancient array to attack the sword spirit puppet. The waves of energy from the ancient formation gushed over. The sword spirit puppet didn't evade. A blinding light shot up into the sky from its body. At this moment, it was like an unsheathed divine sword, completely invincible. Chi. The sword puppet used its body as a sword and slashed in the air. The dazzling sword radiance erupted with astonishing offensive power. Not only did it block the thunderous attack launched by the nebula's ancient formation, it even created a crack in the ancient formation's power and broke it. When the sword puppet attacked, the power of the brain erupted inside Yi Chunfeng's mind and rushed into the ancient formation to break it. As expected of the person who repelled the sword devil. This person's attack power has probably reached the 6th level of the Mystic Beast Great Ancestor level. Xing Wudao sucked in a breath of cold air as he watched the sword spirit puppet use its body as a sword to tear apart the ancient formation. Let's see how many times you can withstand the ancient formation's attack. Xingyun bellowed. He poured all of his soul force into the ancient formation, mobilizing the formation's power as much as he could. It turned into streaks of light that resembled a meteor shower, attacking the sword spirit puppets in a concentrated manner. Sword puppet, defend with all your might. Don't let the ancient formation hit me. Seeing the concentrated power of the ancient formation, Yi Chunfeng immediately gave the sword puppet a defensive order. Upon receiving Yi Chunfeng's order, the sword puppet gave up on attacking and quickly stood in front of Yi Chunfeng, using its body to block the ancient formation's attack. Courting death. Xing Wudao saw the sword puppet's actions and revealed a sinister expression. Although he couldn't understand why the sword puppet would make such a low-level mistake, he believed that the sword puppet would die without a doubt. Boom, boom, boom. A series of deafening explosions rang out. Xingyun mobilized the ancient formation to the greatest extent, launching thunderous attacks that bombarded the sword puppet's body. A dazzling light burst out from the ancient formation, blinding everyone's eyes. Violent fluctuations of energy swept through the entire ancient formation like stormy waves. What? How is this possible? After a round of fierce attacks, Xingyun, Xing Wudao, and the others were stunned by the scene before them. They were horrified to find that the sword puppet wasn't injured at all after receiving hundreds of attacks from the ancient formation. There wasn't even a drop of blood on its body. What kind of body is that? Could it be wearing a heaven-grade battle armor? Like Sword Demon, Xingyun and the others suspected that the sword puppet was wearing a heaven-grade battle armor. Otherwise, its defense wouldn't be so terrifying. Your attacks are too weak. The sword puppet, whose body was as straight as a steel spear, looked at the dazed faces of Xingyun and the others and said emotionlessly, "You? Who are you?" After witnessing the defensive power of the sword puppet, Xingyun panicked and asked in a low voice. "Weaklings don't deserve to know who I am," the sword puppet said arrogantly. "We admit that Your Excellency is very strong. As long as Your Excellency doesn't want the key to the underwater cavern, we are willing to fulfill any of Your Excellency's requests." Facing the invincible defense of the sword puppet, Xingyun felt a sense of helplessness. He sighed softly in his heart and admitted defeat. 200,000 mid-grade soul crystals, the sword puppet said in a low voice. "All right, we'll give it to you." Hearing that the sword puppet wanted mid-grade soul crystals, Xingyun agreed without hesitation. "I haven't finished speaking. 200,000 mid-grade soul crystals and the key." The sword puppet had used up another 10,000 mid-grade soul crystals to block the ancient formation's attack. This made Yi Chunfeng very angry, so he deliberately blackmailed them. Don't you go too far." Hearing the sword puppet's words, Xingyun and the others were so angry that their lungs almost exploded. They almost vomited blood. "Yes, I'm going too far. What can you do to help me?" The sword puppet ignored the angry eyes of Xingyun, Xing Wudao, and the others and said coldly. Xingyun's face turned from white to purple, from purple to green, and from green to black. His entire body was trembling. "If you don't give it to me, I'll give you 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals and the key." The sword puppet looked at Xingyun and the others who were about to vomit blood and demanded an exorbitant price. "Go to hell." Xingyun's anger was completely ignited. A towering rage erupted from his body as he roared loudly. "Ignite your blood and qi. Activate the ancient formation and kill it with all your might." Xingyun was so angry that he didn't hesitate to ignite the blood and qi in his body. He activated the ancient formation's power and used all his strength to kill the sword puppet. The terrifying ancient formation's power was like a meteor shower that fell to the mortal world. It carried a tremendous destructive force as it bombarded the sword puppet continuously. In the face of Xingyun's burning blood and qi, the sword puppet's feet seemed to be rooted to the ground. Its body didn't move at all as it easily blocked the ancient formation's attack. "What are you guys waiting for? Hurry up and control the formation with me to attack it." The sword puppet's defensive power was beyond Xingyun's understanding. Looking at its unscathed body, Xingyun felt his heart tremble. He shouted at Xing Hai and Xing Wudao, who were dumbfounded. Yes. Xing Hai and Xing Wudao nodded. They poured their soul power into the ancient formation regardless of the cost. However, no matter how the three of them activated the ancient formation's power, they still couldn't shake the sword puppet. Gradually, their hearts sank to the bottom. Large amounts of cold sweat appeared on their foreheads. Just as the three of them were shaken, Yi Qinfeng's eyes shot out a large amount of formation's power. With the help of the God-Eater brain, he found the formation's weak point. He informed the sword puppet in his mind. In the next moment, the sword puppet's body erupted with perfect sword force. A blinding sword ray cut through the ancient formation's power and struck the formation's weak point. Chapter 204. What? The ancient formation cracked? The sword puppet's defense had already made Xing Yun and the others tremble with fear. Now that the sword puppet had cracked the ancient formation with a single slash, a fear that came from the depths of their souls took hold of their bodies. After the first slash, the sword puppet continued to attack. It slashed out 36 times in a row, each slash tearing apart the ancient formation's power and attacking its weak points. The dazzling sword light pierced through the ancient formation like a hot knife through butter, tearing apart the formation's runes and greatly weakening the ancient formation's power. It also shook the hall, causing the ground to continuously crack. Gu, Grand Elder, what should we do? Xing Wudao couldn't help but gulp when the ancient formation was torn apart by the sword puppet. He looked at the extremely unsightly Xing Yun and asked in a daze. The sword puppet's combat strength had already exceeded the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance's ability to resist. Xing Wudao had no doubt that if the sword puppet wanted to slaughter the entire Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance, they wouldn't be able to stop it. Xing Yun gritted his teeth and endured the humiliation in his heart as he shouted, "Stop! We can talk this out." "What? Are you afraid? Don't you think it's too late now?" The sword puppet said without a trace of emotion. "We admit that we underestimated your strength. We are willing to hand over the key to the underwater cave and give you 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals." Xing Yun lowered his noble head in front of the invincible powerlessness. He took a deep breath and said helplessly, "Grand Elder." Xing Wudao and Xing Hai's expressions changed when they heard Xing Yun agree to give the key to the underwater cave to Yi Qinfeng. They really didn't want to become the sinners of the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance. "Say no more. I've already made up my mind." Xing Yun waved his hand and said with an unsightly expression, "Once we get the 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals and the key to the underwater cave, we will leave immediately." The sword puppet said coldly. "Wu Dao, go and get 30 mid-grade soul crystals," Xing Yun ordered, leaving no room for objection. Yes. Although he was unwilling, Xing Wudao knew that he had no choice. He obediently went to the treasury to get the mid-grade soul crystals. "This is the key to the undersea cavern." While Xing Wudao was retrieving the key, Xing Yun took out a dark golden key from his cosmos bag. The key was shining with a strange light, and handed it to the sword spirit puppet. Yi Qinfeng had once seen the key to the undersea cavern from Moyin. Therefore, he used his soul to scan the key that Nebula handed over to him. After confirming that it was indeed the key, he ordered the sword puppet to put it away. After a short while, Xing Wudao returned with a gloomy expression and handed over a cosmos bag that contained 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals to Yi Qinfeng. "Goodbye." After obtaining the key to the underwater cave and 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals, Yi Qinfeng didn't stay any longer and left the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance with the sword puppet, whose energy was almost depleted. "Supreme Elder, are you really willing to give the key to the underwater cave to them?" Ever since Xing Wudao took charge of the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance, he had never been so sullen. He was unwilling to let Yi Qinfeng and Moyin take away the most precious key to the Commerce Alliance. "Don't worry. I will use their blood to wash away the shame they brought to the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance." Xingyun's eyes flashed with a vicious light as he spoke gloomily. Supreme Elder, do you have a way to deal with them? Xing Wudao's eyebrows slightly raised as he asked. If my guess is correct, after leaving the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance, they will immediately head to the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance and take the other key from them. Together with the key in Mo Yuyen's hand, they will have all the keys to the undersea cavern. They want to monopolize the undersea cavern and obtain the opportunities inside. I won't let them do as they wish. I plan to sell this information to the Black Demons and the Black Tortoise King, who has just returned to 3-Star Island and unified several tens of thousands of seas. I think they will be interested in cooperating with us. At that time, we can use the power of their two factions to kill the two of them, Xingyun said sinisterly. Supreme Elder, although this is a good idea, if the Black Demons or the Sea Demon race learn of the existence of the underwater cave, with their greed, I'm afraid we won't be able to take back the key, Xing Wudao said worriedly. Wudao, do you know that we've entered the undersea cavern more than 10 times already? Apart from a few devil crystal bones, we haven't gained anything else. This time, if we can gather a large number of experts and enter, we might have a chance to break through the restrictions of the undersea cavern and enter. Taking a step back, we've already lost the key to the undersea cavern. Even if we enter the undersea cavern with nothing, we can at least do the Black Tortoise King and the Black Demons a favor. As long as we eliminate the two of them, we can use their two factions to directly devour the ancient Ink Commerce Alliance. At that time, our Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance will be the undisputed overlord of 3-Star Island, Xing Yun said schemingly. Supreme Elder, you're still the one who understands. We'll have to trouble you to discuss cooperation with the Black Tortoise King and the Black Demons. Xing Wudao and Xing Hai looked at each other and revealed traces of joy. When they take the key from the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance, I'll immediately set off to discuss cooperation with the Black Tortoise King and the Black Demons. Xing Wudao nodded. Just as Xing Yun had guessed, Yi Chenfeng didn't immediately return to the ancient Ink Commerce Alliance after leaving the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance. Instead, he brought the sword puppet to the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance. In the battle at the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance, the sword puppet's energy was almost completely depleted. However, it had extorted 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals from the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance, which completely made up for the loss. The sword puppet had fused with 30 mid-grade soul crystals in one go, which was enough to sustain its attacks for a long time. When Yi Chenfeng arrived at the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance with the sword puppet and explained his intentions, he also angered the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance and drew out the two Supreme Elders of the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance, who joined forces to attack the sword puppet. The Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance, the strongest of the three, had chosen to submit in the face of the sword puppet's invincible defense, let alone the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance, which was slightly weaker. As the sword puppet launched wave after wave of ferocious attacks, streaks of sword light soared into the sky like a giant waterfall, completely suppressing the two Supreme Elders of the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance. The majestic aura and invincible figure caused the heaven and earth to tremble, severely injuring the two Supreme Elders of the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance and intimidating the entire Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance. In the end, under the awe of the sword puppet's strength, the two Supreme Elders of the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance also chose to submit. They unwillingly gave the key to the underwater cave and 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals to Yi Chenfeng. After obtaining the two keys from the Heavenly Star Commerce Alliance and the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance, Yi Chenfeng didn't waste any more time. He left the chaotic Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance and returned to the ancient Ink Commerce Alliance. He asked Mo Yuyen for the last key to prepare for entering the underwater cave. Chapter 205. Qingfeng, you're finally back. We were worried sick. Mo Yuyen, who was anxiously waiting in the ancient Ink Merchant Union, saw Yi Chenfeng's return. Her anxious heart relaxed, and a smile appeared on her anxious face. "Oh right, who is this?" Looking at the unfamiliar face of the sword puppet and feeling the pressure from its body, Mo Yuyen softly asked. "This is my master. He was the one who repelled the sword demon and saved me." Yi Chunfeng introduced the sword puppet's identity. "Master." When Mo Yuyen learned of the sword puppet's identity and how he repelled the sword demon, shock appeared on her delicate face. She looked at the sword puppet with eyes full of respect and flattery. "I'm a little tired. Arrange a place for me to rest," the sword puppet said without a trace of emotion. Yes. Senior, please wait for a moment. I'll order someone to arrange it." Mo Yuyen didn't dare to delay, and ordered Elder May to personally arrange a place for the sword puppet to rest. "That's right, Yuyen. Now that my master has helped me get 2 keys to the underwater cave abode from the Celestial Star Merchant Alliance and the Solitary Cloud Merchant Alliance, can you give me the key from the Ancient Ink Merchant Alliance?" "Xingqian, you've obtained the keys to the Celestial Star Merchant Union and the Solitary Cloud Merchant Union?" Mo Yuyen raised her brows and her heart was in turmoil. She knew how important these 2 keys were to the 2 merchant unions. Unless the 2 merchant unions were in danger of being exterminated, they definitely wouldn't hand over these 2 keys. What she didn't know was that not only did Yi Chunfeng snatch the keys from the 2 merchant unions, but he also extorted 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals from the 2 merchant unions. Yi Chunfeng nodded his head and took out the 2 keys that he had snatched. "Qingfeng, as long as you agree to one of my requests, I'll give you the key to the Ancient Ink Merchant Union." Mo Yuyen took a deep breath and gathered her courage. She looked at Yi Chunfeng's handsome face with a burning gaze and said, "What request?" Sensing the strange look in Mo Yuyen's eyes, Yi Chunfeng frowned and asked, "I want to have a child with you." Mo Yuyen bit her rosy lips and mustered up her courage. "What?" Yi Chunfeng's eyes widened. His mouth was slightly agape as he looked at Mo Yuyen in astonishment. Her cheeks were slightly red and her eyes were watery. He didn't dare to imagine what he had just heard. "Qingfeng, you are a dragon amongst men. In the future, you will definitely soar through the 9 heavens. As for me, I don't expect you to accept my love and stay in the Ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. I only want to have a child with you so that I can entrust my yearning to you," Mo Yuyen said with a complicated tone. "I'm sorry, but I can't promise you." Seeing the longing in Mo Yuyen's eyes, Yi Chunfeng did not feel the slightest ripple in his heart. He shook his head and refused without a trace of emotion. "Qingfeng, am I really that bad? Why can't I make you feel the slightest bit of interest?" Mo Yuyen was very confident in her figure and appearance. However, she never thought that Yi Chunfeng would reject her without any hesitation. This dealt a heavy blow to her self-esteem, so she asked in a desolate tone, "This has nothing to do with you. It's just that I wholeheartedly pursue the boundless Tao. I don't want to be affected by personal feelings, and I definitely won't leave behind any attachments here." Yi Chunfeng sighed softly and explained, "Okay, I understand." Mo Yuyen's face was deathly pale as she said, "Actually, I already expected this result. It's just that I was too naive and had an illusion in my heart. Now, I will fulfill my promise and give you the keys to the Ancient Ink Merchant Alliance." Mo Yuyen tightly bit her lips, not letting herself cry. She gave the precious keys and the map to the underwater cave to Yi Chunfeng. "Thank you. If I manage to obtain a great opportunity in the underwater cave, I will definitely share some with you," Yi Chunfeng promised as he put away the 3 precious keys. "Qingfeng, I'm a bit tired. I'll go back and rest first." With that, the disheartened Mo Yuyen turned around and left with red eyes. A3. Looking at Mo Yuyen's lonely back, Yi Chunfeng gently sighed. Although Mo Yuyen was very beautiful, she did not belong to him. Yi Chunfeng could not accept her. Nick Hang is still cultivating? After returning to the courtyard, Yi Chunfeng's sharp perception sensed that Yu Nick Hang was still cultivating. He didn't disturb her and returned to his room. He took out the 3 precious keys and studied them for a while before sitting down cross-legged to cultivate. At dawn, when the sky was just beginning to brighten, a powerful aura came from Yu Nichang's room. Sensing this aura, Yi Chunfeng was delighted. He knew that Yu Nichang had finally finished refining the Devil Crystal Bone. Nichang, now that you've refined the Devil Crystal Bone, what level have you reached with your 6 Meridian Divine Shield? Seeing Yu Nichang walk out of the room with her body emitting a powerful aura, Yi Chunfeng softly asked. The energy contained within the Devil Crystal Bone is too powerful. After refining it, I've reached the minor completion of the Tendon Refinement Realm. Yu Nichang happily said. After reaching the minor completion of the Tendon Refinement Realm, her physical strength had reached 50,000 kilograms, which was enough to crush a second-level Profound Beast ancestor. Nichang, I've already obtained all 3 keys to the underwater cave. You should rest well today. Tomorrow morning, we'll head to the underwater cave. In order to avoid any unexpected events, Yi Chunfeng wanted to head to the underwater cave as soon as possible. You went to the Celestial Star Merchant Alliance and the Solitary Cloud Merchant Alliance? Yu Nichang asked with some surprise. Yes. After repelling the Sword Devil, I went to the 2 merchant alliances and forced them to hand over their keys. I also extorted 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals from each of them. Yi Chunfeng nodded and spoke without hiding anything. Qingfeng, how strong is your clone? Yu Nichang had long since known of the existence of the sword puppet and was curious about its strength. A 5th-level Profound Beast ancestor. After entering the underwater cave, Yi Chunfeng's greatest reliance was the sword puppet. Therefore, he couldn't hide the sword puppet's strength at all. A 5th-level Profound Beast ancestor clone. Qingfeng, even I am a bit envious of your fortune. Yu Nichang said enviously. Just as she said that, Yi Chunfeng's pupils suddenly contracted into the most dangerous pinholes. A sharp sword aura emanated from his body. Sensing the change in Yi Chunfeng's aura, Yu Nichang's heart tightened and she asked, Qingfeng, what's wrong? Did something happen? 2 powerful demon beasts have arrived outside the Ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. They're very likely coming for me, Yi Chunfeng said in a grave voice. The 2 demon beasts had come with ill intentions. He guessed that the matter of him snatching the keys to the underwater cave had been exposed. The 2 merchant alliances wanted to use the demon beasts to eliminate him. Demon beasts? Qingfeng, how strong are the 2 demon beasts outside? Yu Nichang asked with furrowed brows. They're very strong. The strongest one is probably a 4th-level heavenly beast. The other one is also a 3rd-level heavenly beast, Yi Chunfeng said in a grave voice. 4th-level heavenly beast? Could it be that black tortoise? Yu Nichang's face tightened as she thought of how terrifying the black tortoise's lightning tribulation was. She couldn't help but feel nervous. It's most likely that black tortoise. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and said with a grave expression, Let's go. Let's go out and meet them. After saying that, Yi Chunfeng transmitted a message to the sword puppet and brought him outside the Ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. They saw the half-human, half-beast Black Tortoise King with a huge tortoise shell on his back and 4 thick and powerful limbs. The Black Tortoise King also had a long snake tail. Its entire body was covered in black snake scales, and it had the head of a beautiful woman and a long snake tongue. Xingyun, Xinghai, and the 2 Grand Elders of the Solitary Cloud Merchant Alliance stood behind the Black Tortoise King and the others. They glared furiously at Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nichang, who had brought them great humiliation. They couldn't wait to skin them alive. Chapter 206. Black Turtle King, Snake Demon King, they are the ones who took away the keys to the underwater cave. Xingyun looked angrily at Yi Chunfeng and Luofeng, who brought him great humiliation, and said while gnashing his teeth, I really shouldn't have let you live. The sword puppet's sharp eyes looked at Xingyun and the others, and said with a murderous intent, How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? Seeing that the sword puppet dared to threaten Xing Yun and the others in front of him, the Black Turtle King's round eyes were filled with murderous intent. His thick hind legs suddenly stepped forward, and his foot cracked the hard ground. His terrifying aura was like a surging tide, and it bombarded the sword puppet. Being attacked by the aura released by the Black Turtle King, the sword puppet stood still with its hands behind its back, and let the terrifying aura bombard its body. After breaking through to the level 4 Heavenly Beast realm, the Black Turtle King, who had the strength of a peerless human king, looked down on everything. He didn't put the people and demonic beasts in the sea near the 3-star island in his eyes. However, when he released his powerful aura to attack the sword puppet, he couldn't shake the sword puppet at all. This made him very surprised. The 3 keys to the underwater cave are in my hands. If you want them, then come and get them from me, the sword puppet said in a low voice. Although the sword puppet's strength was far from the Black Turtle King's, its body was indestructible. With the Black Turtle King's strength, it couldn't cause any harm to it. You're courting death. The arrogant Black Turtle King didn't expect the sword puppet to be so arrogant and overbearing. His heart was burning with rage, and a powerful force exploded from his body, and he bombarded the sword puppet with a punch. Rumble! With a punch, the air violently trembled. The powerful airflow brought with it an unparalleled sense of oppression, and it smashed towards the sword puppet. 1,000,000 Jin of strength. The terrifying fist light came, and Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikhang, who were beside the sword puppet, immediately felt a strong sense of suffocation. Yi Chunfeng felt that the strength of the Black Turtle King's punch had probably reached 1,000,000 Jin of strength. Too scary. The strength difference between a peerless king and a Xian Beastmaster is too big. Even if I use my life spirit technique, I can't block this punch attack. Seeing that the Black Turtle King's fist light was about to hit the sword spirit puppet, a powerful sword aura gushed out of the sword spirit puppet's body. It was like a waterfall flowing backwards, fiercely chopping at the Black Turtle King's fist light. Rumble, the Turtle King's fists attack. The sword light slashed out by the sword spirit puppet was only able to resist for a breath of time before it was shattered by the fist light that contained a force of 1,000,000 kilograms. Before the sword spirit puppet could dodge, the powerful fist light landed on the sword spirit puppet's chest, shaking its body. It's over. Seeing the Black Turtle King's punch attack on the sword puppet's chest, Xing Yun and the others were overjoyed. They thought the sword puppet was dead for sure. But in the next moment, the smiles on their faces froze. They realized that the sword puppet only took one step back from the Black Turtle King's attack. Apart from the fact that its clothes were torn, there wasn't a single wound on its body. It wasn't just Xing Yun and the others who were dumbfounded. The Black Turtle King also looked like he had seen a ghost. The sword puppet's defense was completely beyond their imagination. Could it be that he's not human? The experienced and knowledgeable Xing Yun suddenly had a bold thought. He immediately cast his gaze toward the mysterious Yi Chunfeng, who was hiding in the distance. He sensed that something was off. Sword puppet, take the gigantic palace heavenly sword. The Black Turtle King's strength was too terrifying. Although the sword puppet relied on its body's defense to resist the Black Turtle King's punch attack, it consumed more than 10,000 mid-grade soul crystals. Even if Yi Chunfeng had nearly 1,000,000 mid-grade soul crystals, he couldn't bear such a terrifying consumption. In order to fight against the Black Turtle King, Yi Chunfeng immediately threw the gigantic palace heavenly sword to him. Heavenly weapon. Feeling the power emanating from the gigantic heavenly sword, the Black Turtle King's round eyes lit up with a fiery light. After breaking through to the 4th level of Heavenly Beast, it was currently lacking in heavenly weapons. If it could obtain a heavenly weapon, its offensive power would increase by several times. Xingfeng, what happened? At this time, Mo Yuan, Elder Mei, Elder Hong, and the others heard the commotion and appeared. When they saw the Black Turtle King, the Snake Demon King, Xing Yun, and the others in their half-human half-beast forms, their expressions changed and they became nervous. Nikhang Yuan, leave this to me. Quickly hide in the ancient formation and don't come out. Yi Chunfeng was afraid that Yu Nikhang and the others would be in danger, so he urged them. Qingfeng, be careful. Yu Nikhang knew that she couldn't help at all, so she quickly retreated to the ancient formation of the ancient Ink Merchant Alliance. I'll chop you into pieces. The Black Turtle King opened its bloody mouth and spat out 2 high-grade earth-tier axes that weighed more than 10,000 jin. With a terrifying attack power, it chopped at the sword puppet and engaged in a fierce battle with the sword puppet. Snake Demon King, that Yi Chunfeng is hiding many secrets. Can you help to capture him? Xing Yun looked at Yi Chunfeng, who was hiding in the distance, and asked the Snake Demon King, who was dragging a snake tail that was dozens of meters long and sticking out its forked tongue, using telepathy. Sure. The Snake Demon King nodded. Its long snake tail wriggled and turned into a black light. In the blink of an eye, it appeared in front of Yi Chunfeng. Golden Rock Wings. The Snake Demon King's strength was equivalent to a level 6 Mystic Beast Sect expert. Ordinary demonic beasts were stronger than humans. Faced with the Snake Demon King's attack, Yi Chunfeng didn't hesitate and immediately activated the thin golden rock bloodline in his body. He summoned the golden rock wings and flew into the air. Wings? Why does he have a pair of wings? Seeing Yi Chunfeng flapping his dark golden wings and flying in the air, the Snake Demon King, Xing Yun, and the others were all dumbfounded. Although they were all stronger than Yi Chunfeng, they couldn't fly. It could be said that Yi Chunfeng, who had the ability to fly, was in an invincible position. Miss Yu, who is Qingfeng? How can a human have the wings of a demonic beast? Mo Yuyan, who was in the ancient array, was stunned by Yi Chunfeng's constant exposure of his trump cards. She asked Yu Nikhang, who was beside her. I don't know. Yu Nikhang shook her head and said indifferently. She really didn't know Yi Chunfeng. Flying in the air, Yi Chunfeng took out the 3 keys and warned loudly, Black Turtle King, if you want the key to the underwater cave mansion, stop right now. Otherwise, I'll take the 3 keys and leave immediately. Brat, what do you want? After breaking through to the level 4 Heavenly Beast Realm, although the Black Turtle King had the ability to fly for a short period of time, it couldn't fly too high. Looking at Yi Chunfeng, who was flying in the air, the Black Turtle King asked with a gloomy face. Black Tortoise King, if you're willing to help me kill them, I'm willing to share the secret of the undersea cave with you and go to the undersea cave with you. Yi Chunfeng pointed at Xing Yun and the others, whose expressions changed greatly. Black Turtle King, don't listen to his nonsense. This brat is not telling the truth. Xing Yun, whose heart was trembling, shouted loudly. He was afraid that the Black Turtle King would be instigated and kill him. Black Turtle King, if you don't kill them, I'll take the keys and leave immediately. At that time, you can forget about getting the opportunity in the underwater cave mansion. Yi Chunfeng looked at the pale-faced Xing Yun and the others and continued. Xing Yun looked at Yi Chunfeng continuously forcing the Black Turtle King to kill him. Cold sweat immediately appeared on his forehead. His mind was constantly thinking of ways to deal with it. If the Black Turtle King was instigated to kill him, then he would have no chance of survival. Chapter 207. Everyone, why don't we share this secret? A burly man in a black robe who exuded a fierce murderous aura was standing on a black condor with a wingspan of more than 10 meters and feathers as sharp as swords as he said in a deep voice. Hey Mo, seeing the black-robed man appear on the black eagle, Xing Yun and the others who were nervous heaved a sigh of relief. Hey Mo, I didn't expect you to come too. Black Tortoise King looked at Hey Mo, who jumped down from the black eagle and had a murderous aura. His eyes were as sharp as lightning. I'm also interested in the underwater cave. Why don't we share the secret of the underwater cave and search for treasures? Hey Mo ignored Black Tortoise King's oppressive aura and said with his hands behind his back. What if I don't agree? Before becoming a level 4 heavenly beast, Black Tortoise King had some scruples about Hei Mo's strength. But now, he didn't put Hei Mo in his eyes at all and said domineeringly, Black Tortoise King, although you've passed the heavenly tribulation and become a level 4 heavenly beast and have the strength of a human king, the underwater cave has been passed down since ancient times. The restriction inside is no small matter. It shouldn't be difficult to kill you. Only by gathering everyone's strength can we have a chance to get the treasures inside. Hei Mo said expressionlessly, and with your strength are you afraid that we'll do something to you? Black Tortoise King, Hei Mo is right. We do need some cannon fodder to help us explore. These people should be useful. Snake Demon King's charming eyes shone as she said, and if you and I work together, we can control the situation. We're not afraid of them playing tricks. Okay, I promise you. But if you dare to scheme against us, don't blame me for being ruthless. Black Tortoise King warned in a muffled voice. Have you forgotten that the key is in my hands? Yi Chunfeng, who was flying in the air, saw that Black Tortoise King and Hei Mo had reached an agreement and sneered. Yi Chunfeng, you don't have to think about threatening us. Although we don't have the key, we have the confidence that you won't be able to enter the underwater cave. Also, if we want to destroy the ancient Ink Merchant Alliance, you won't be able to stop us. So, you better think carefully about the consequences of refusing to cooperate with us, Black Demon said coldly. Hearing Black Devil's threat, Mo Yuyan and the others were so frightened that their faces drained of blood. They knew that Black Devil was not trying to scare Yi Chunfeng. If Black Devil and the Black Tortoise King joined forces, they would be able to tear apart the ancient formation and annihilate the entire ancient Ink Commerce Alliance. All right, I promise you that I will share the secrets of the undersea cave with you. Yi Chunfeng pondered for a moment. After weighing the pros and cons in his heart, he reluctantly agreed. In order to gain each other's trust, you, I, and the Black Turtle King must each hold a key. Black Demon requested. Sure. Yi Chunfeng knew that he did not have a choice. He could only nod and agree. He threw 2 keys to the Black Tortoise King and Black Devil. Oh right, I forgot to remind you that only 30 people can enter the undersea cave each time. My request is not high. I only need 3 people. As for the remaining people, you can distribute them yourselves, Yi Chunfeng said. All right, this king agrees. The Xian Turtle King did not even think about it and agreed. In order to avoid danger, I suggest that the Celestial Star Commerce Alliance and the Solitary Cloud Commerce Alliance follow us to the undersea cave. They have entered the undersea cave many times and are more experienced than us. With them joining us, it will save us a lot of trouble. Yi Chunfeng purposely suggested. Seeing Yi Chunfeng's cold smile, Xing Yun felt a trace of unease. However, his lifespan was coming to an end. He had to take a gamble and try his best to break through to the level 5 Mystic Beast Ancestor realm. Therefore, he would not let go of this opportunity. All right, then we will meet 1 month later at the port of 3 Stars Island and enter the undersea cave together. Black Devil suggested. After reaching a consensus, the Black Tortoise King, Snake Demon King, Black Devil, and the others left the ancient Ink Commerce Alliance. Soon, peace was restored outside the alliance. When Yi Chunfeng put away his golden rock wings and walked into the ancient Ink Commerce Alliance, Unikhang asked worriedly, Chingfeng, are you really confident that you can snatch the undersea cave's fortune from them? Yi Chunfeng shook his head and said, I'm not confident, but I can try. Chingfeng, why don't you give up on entering the undersea cave? Putting aside the threat of the Black Tortoise King, Black Devil, and the others, just the undersea cave alone is extremely dangerous. The slightest discomfort could cost you your life. Although Yi Chunfeng rejected her, Mo Yuyan still did not want anything to happen to Yi Chunfeng. Therefore, she kindly reminded him. Don't worry, although my strength is far from the Black Tortoise King and Black Devils, I still have some life-saving methods. As for you, Nikhang, entering the undersea cave might be very dangerous. If you really can't do it, you can wait for me in the Ancient Ink Commerce Alliance. Yi Chunfeng did not expect this kind of accident and was a little worried for Yu Nichang's safety. Qingfeng, did you forget what you said to me? Opportunities are to be fought for, not waited for. No matter how dangerous the undersea cave is, I have to give it a try, Yu Nichang said with a firm tone. All right, then we will properly prepare for the dangers that may appear at any time in the undersea cave. Yi Chunfeng nodded as he looked at the determined expression on Yu Nichang's charming face. Qingfeng, is there anything you need me to do? If it wasn't for the fact that the Ancient Ink Commerce Alliance still needed her to lead it, she would have disregarded everything and followed Yi Chunfeng to the undersea cave. Yu Yan, here are more than 6 million low-grade soul crystals. Can you help me exchange them for some materials to refine a talisman? Yi Chunfeng took out a heavy Qiankuan pouch and handed it to Emoyan. Qingfeng, write down the materials you need on a piece of paper and give it to me. I will do my best to help you exchange them. Emoyan gently said, as for the low-grade soul crystals, there is no need. If you obtain a great opportunity in the undersea cave, remember to share some with the Ancient Ink Commerce Alliance. Yi Chunfeng nodded and promised in front of everyone, okay, if I can return safely from the undersea cave, I will definitely make your Ancient Ink Commerce Alliance the #1 commerce alliance on 3-Star Island. Time passed day by day. Although the materials Yi Chunfeng needed were rare and precious, Mo Yuyan still used 6 days to gather about 80% of the materials for Yi Chunfeng through various channels. She also found substitutes for the remaining 20%. After obtaining all the materials, Yi Chunfeng immediately went into seclusion. According to the inherited memories in the God-Eater brain, he borrowed the power of the profound frost spirit water to refine the 100 crystal cold jade talisman with a powerful defensive ability and the shadow-transforming golden needle talisman that could directly attack the soul. Although these two talismans were extremely difficult to refine, they weren't difficult for Yi Chunfeng, who had the God-Eater brain and inherited memories. After failing twice in a row, he borrowed the God-Eater brain's power to refine the 100 crystal cold jade talisman and the shadow-transforming golden needle talisman. Time passed day by day. In order to increase his life-saving trump cards and attack methods, Yi Chunfeng tirelessly refined these two talismans. His success rate also increased as time passed. Slowly, the 1-month deadline approached. Yi Chunfeng refined more and more 100 crystal cold jade talismans and shadow-transforming golden needle talismans. Finally, the 1-month deadline arrived. Yi Chunfeng also successfully refined 2,300 crystal cold jade talismans and 29 shadow-transforming golden needle talismans. With these talismans, Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nichang's ability to protect themselves greatly increased. Even the Black Turtle King wouldn't be able to instantly kill them. Chapter 208. Early in the morning, the beautiful beach was dotted with golden specks. Busy ferries shuttled between the two shores. Fishing boats and ocean liners formed a beautiful picture. Demonic beast. So many demonic beasts. Run. Suddenly, a group of ferocious demonic beasts appeared at the 3 Stars Island's harbor. Their terrifying aura scared away the people around the harbor. Not long after the Black Tortoise King and the Snake Demon King appeared, the Black Devil and the 2 merchant alliances arrived one after another. After some discussion, the Sea Demon clan, which was the strongest, would take 11 spots to enter the underwater cave. The Black Demons would take 8 spots. The Celestial Star Merchant Alliance and the Solitary Cloud Merchant Alliance would each take 4 spots, and Yi Chunfeng would only take 3. In order to fight for a greater opportunity in the underwater cave, the Black Devil brought almost all the experts in the organization, including the level 5 Mystic Beast Ancestor Sword Demon and the level 3/6 Great Black Devil Demon Kings. The 2 merchant alliances also sent out all their experts. Except for the 2 alliance masters, all the Mystic Beast sect experts in the merchant alliances were sent out. The Sea Demon clan is so powerful. When Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikhang arrived, they found that the Three Stars Islands harbor was full of experts. Among them, the Sea Demon clan was the strongest. Except for the level 4 Heavenly Beast Black Tortoise King and the level 3 Heavenly Beast Snake Demon King, the other 9 demonic beasts were all level 2 Heavenly Beasts, comparable to level 4 and level 5 human expert. Alright, time's up. Let's go. The Black Devil looked at Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikhang with indifferent eyes. He didn't see the sword puppet, so he was basically sure that the sword puppet was Yi Chunfeng's clone. He couldn't help but think highly of Yi Chunfeng. The sword demon, who suffered a great loss, acted as if he didn't know Yi Chunfeng. His arrogant face didn't have any change in expression, and he didn't even look at Yi Chunfeng. Roar! The Black Tortoise King, who was like a small mountain, roared as it crawled on the beach. 10 aggressive sea demons followed the Black Tortoise King and jumped into the vast sea. Meanwhile, Black Devil and the people from the 2 great merchant alliances jumped onto their respective flying spirit beasts and drove them to the sea area where the underwater cave was located. Nikhang, let's go. Yi Chunfeng held Yu Nichang's soft body in his arms and summoned his golden rock wings. He flew into the blue sky and followed closely behind Black Demon's group. Everyone, the undersea cave mansion is in front of us. Let's go down. After flying continuously for nearly 2 days, they arrived above a sea area where the airflow was somewhat disordered. The Supreme Elder of the Star Merchant Alliance, Xing Yun, observed the surrounding environment and said loudly, "Yes." The Black Demon's deep eyes observed the surrounding environment. Then, he led the Black Demon experts and leaped into the surging waves of the sea. Nikhang, be careful. If there is any danger, remember to use the talisman that I gave you. Yi Chunfeng sent a message to her. Then, he put away his golden rock wings and dived into the vast sea with Yu Nikhang. They followed closely behind Black Demon and the people from the 2 great merchant alliances and swam in the bone-chilling sea. As they dived deeper and deeper, the pressure of the sea became greater and greater. Fortunately, Yi Chunfeng and Xuan Chang's physical strength was strong enough to withstand the pressure of the sea. 1,000 meters, 2,000 meters, 4,000 meters. When Yi Chunfeng and his group dived for nearly 6,000 meters, they found a long and narrow trench in the sea. Waves of majestic aura gushed out from the trench, causing the sea to surge violently and forming thunderous roars. The undersea cave mansion is in that trench. Let's go down. Xing Yun, who was wearing an earth-grade battle armor to protect his body, said. He led the group through the turbulent airflow and into the dangerous trench. Roar, roar! When Yi Chunfeng and his group carefully dived into the middle of the trench, they suddenly heard angry roars and fierce battle sounds coming from the trench. The sea demons that had entered the trench earlier were fighting fiercely with the sea demons in the trench. A large amount of blood emerged from the depths of the trench and dyed the sea red. Oh no, I forgot to tell the Black Turtle King and the others about the taboo. Killing is forbidden in the trench. Seeing the blood in the sea, Xing Yun and the others trembled. They only wanted to scheme against Yi Chunfeng and leave his life in the undersea cave mansion, but they forgot to remind the Black Turtle King of the most important taboo. There were tens of thousands of powerful sea demons living in the trench, and these sea demons were especially sensitive to the smell of blood. Once there was the smell of blood, they would flock over. The Black Turtle King and the others were killing sea demons without restraint in the trench. They were bound to attract a large number of sea demons and besiege them. This greatly increased the difficulty of entering the undersea cave mansion. Let's speed up and enter the undersea cave mansion. If we are late, we might be in danger. Sensing the danger, Xing Yun and the others no longer held back. They all unleashed their powerful strength and quickly swam towards the depths of the trench like flying arrows. Xing Yun and the others suddenly sped up. Yi Chunfeng immediately felt suspicious. He tightly grabbed Yu Nichang's soft little hand and followed behind them. So many sea sharks. As they swam, Yi Chunfeng found hundreds of sea sharks that were completely black. They were baring their sharp teeth and staring with blood-red eyes. These sea sharks were all over 20 meters long. Waves of brutal aura were emitted from their bodies, which made people shudder. Hundreds of black sea sharks noticed that Yi Chunfeng and the others had intruded into their territory. They immediately opened their bloody mouths and attacked at an extremely fast speed. "Nikhang, don't fight. Let's break through with all our strength." Feeling that these hundreds of sea sharks were extremely terrifying, Yi Chunfeng didn't hesitate to summon the sword puppet and gave it the titanic fault heaven sword. He ordered the sword puppet to open a path for the two of them. Under the crazy attacks of the sword puppet, the sea sharks that were blocking the way were killed one after another. Large amounts of blood dyed the seawater red. Smelling the thick smell of blood in the seawater, these sea sharks became even crazier. Their ferocious attacks brought great pressure to the group. No! Along with a Class 1 mystic beast ancestor Great Grand Elder of the Star Merchant Alliance let out a terrified wail. His body's defense was broken by the sharp teeth of a sea shark. More than half of his body was bitten off. Following that, several ferocious sea sharks swarmed up and directly tore this Great Grand Elder's body into pieces. Before entering the undersea cave mansion, one person had already died. This cast a layer of haze over everyone's heart and made them nervous. As the pressure increased, everyone gave up on the idea of a fierce battle. They used all their strength to break out of the encirclement and slowly approach the fierce battle of the Mystic Turtle King and the other demonic beasts. Although the Mystic Turtle King's party was powerful, there were too many demonic beasts in the trench. In addition, there were also many high-level demonic beasts. For a moment, the Mystic Turtle King and the other demonic beasts were also in big trouble and fell into a bitter battle. Among them, two eel-shaped demonic beasts were covered in wounds and couldn't hold on for much longer. "Chingfeng, what should we do? There are too many demonic beasts in this trench. They are too powerful." Looking at the strange and terrifying demonic beasts in the sea, Yu Nikhang felt helpless. She nervously transmitted a message to Yi Chunfeng, who was next to her. "Don't worry, there will be a chance." Although they were in deep danger, Yi Chunfeng didn't panic. While he was attacking, he released his powerful soul perception and covered a large area of the trench, looking for a chance to break out of the encirclement. However, the number of demonic beasts attracted was too many. As a large number of demonic beasts discovered Yi Chunfeng and the others and attacked them, their situation became more and more dangerous. Roar! Roar! Two miserable roars sounded. The two subordinates of the Mystic Turtle King were torn apart by the demonic beasts and died on the spot. Chapter 209. Roar! A high-pitched dragon roar suddenly resounded. Facing the increasing pressure, Yi Chunfeng summoned his spirit beast, the Blood Dragon, and erupted with a strength of 350,000 jin. Dragons were divine beasts. When the Blood Dragon appeared on Yi Chunfeng's body, it emitted a dragon's aura that caused the attacking demonic beasts to tremble and their attack speed to slow down. Seizing this opportunity, the sword puppet fiercely attacked with the titanic fault heavenly sword. The sharp sword light slashed open the blood-red seawater and split two tentacled octopuses in half, creating a gap. "Nikhang, follow me closely." The moment the sword puppet killed the two octopuses, Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikhang immediately sped up and followed closely behind the sword puppet. They passed through the increasing pressure of the seawater and swam towards the bottom of the trench. While they were breaking through the encirclement, Yi Chunfeng pushed his soul perception to the limit and constantly searched for places where there were fewer demonic beasts. However, there were simply too many demonic beasts in the trench. Even with the protection of the sword puppet, Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikhang were still surrounded by danger. Their bodies were covered in wounds from the demonic beasts, and they were dripping with blood. "Damn it, I've already used up 100,000 mid-grade soul crystals." As the sword puppet killed more and more demonic beasts, its consumption also increased. Yi Chunfeng sensed that after a round of fierce killing, the sword puppet had consumed 100,000 mid-grade soul crystals. Nick Hang, watch out! Just as the pressure on Yi Chunfeng was increasing and their injuries were worsening, a swordfish with a sharp mouth suddenly launched a fatal attack at Yu Nikhang. After a series of fierce battles, Yu Nichang's strength was not enough to support such a high consumption of energy. When the swordfish suddenly attacked, she was already too weak to resist. At the critical moment, Yu Nikhang detonated the 100-crystal cold jade talisman hidden in her palm. Immediately, a large amount of cold light shot out from the talisman and condensed into 100 layers of defensive light shield, enveloping Yu Nikhang and blocking the swordfish's fatal attack. Instant kill sword. With the help of the 100-crystal cold jade talisman, the moon raiment had saved the day, and Yi Chunfeng immediately made his move. His perfect sword aura gathered in his jasper sword, and his entire body turned into a thin sword light, instantly killing the level 1 heavenly beast swordfish. A large amount of blood filled the sea. Chingfeng, I can't hold on any longer. Don't worry about me, I'll think of a way to leave the trench by myself. I won't accompany you to the underwater cave. Although Yu Nikhang had managed to keep her life, the continuous battle had caused her injuries to be extremely serious. Her soul power was also almost depleted, and with her current condition, she would only be a burden to Yi Chunfeng. Don't talk nonsense, open your mouth. Yi Chunfeng knew that if Yu Nikhang was separated from him, even with the protection of the 100-crystal cold jade talisman, it would be difficult for her to leave the trench alive. As such, he pulled her into his embrace and ordered her, not allowing her to refuse. Hearing Yi Chunfeng's domineering voice and his firm gaze, the despairing Yu Nichang's heart trembled, and she obediently opened her rosy mouth, looking extremely alluring. At this critical moment, Yi Chunfeng had no time to appreciate Yu Nichang's alluring appearance. He quickly wrapped a small amount of vitality water with his soul power and stuffed it into her mouth. Immediately, Yu Nichang's exhausted soul power was restored to normal, and the serious injuries on her body were also recovering at an extremely fast speed. In the future, without my orders, you're not allowed to leave me without permission, Yi Chunfeng said in a slightly domineering manner. As for the arrogant Yu Nikhang, not only did she not refute, she obediently nodded instead. An alluring blush appeared on her cheeks, and her eyes were blurred. Sword puppet, continue to open the path. Yi Chunfeng watched as more and more demon beasts besieged them. He continued to order the sword puppet to burst forth with powerful attacks, opening a path for the two of them to swim to the bottom of the trench. Ong! Just as the battle was getting more and more intense, and Yi Chunfeng and the others were getting more and more pressured, the Black Tortoise King could no longer control the anger in its heart after seeing its third subordinate die. It let out a deafening roar. Its hill-like body quickly shrunk, and transformed into a half-human half-beast battle form. And the battle form was the strongest form of a demon beast. However, only demon beasts that had undergone the baptism of the lightning tribulation could transform into it. Once it transformed into the battle form, the strength of the demon beast would be doubled. This was also the Black Tortoise King's last resort. You bastards, go to hell! The Black Tortoise King, who was in the battle form, roared. It held a pair of huge axes that weighed over 10,000 jin, and started a frenzied massacre. It unceasingly chopped the savage demon beasts into pieces. The terrifying attack, the ferocious offensive, immediately attracted the attention of the majority of the demon beasts in the trench. For a moment, the strongest Black Tortoise King became the target of public criticism, and attracted the attention of the majority of the demon beasts. Good chance! Seizing this rare opportunity, Yi Chunfeng's perfect sword force gushed out from his body. He quickly deduced the power of the Great Tao, and transformed it into an extremely cold air. Judgment 7 Swords, Extreme Cold. With a slash of the sword, the blood-stained seawater instantly froze. The great Tao power transformed into the extreme cold sword light that was like the Milky Way flowing backward. It split open the seawater, and instantly killed a few demon beasts that were surrounding it. The moment Yi Qinfeng performed the Judgment Seven Swords, the sword puppet also performed its most powerful attack. A large amount of soul crystals melted and poured into the gigantic fault heavenly sword. An unstoppable sword shadow shot out, and followed the extreme cold sword light to the bottom of the trench. "Nikhang, let's go." Yi Qinfeng quickly drank a small sip of the fate water to replenish the consumption of the Judgment Seven Swords. He then activated his Golden Rock bloodline and summoned his Golden Rock wings. He hugged Yu Nikhang and swam towards the bottom of the trench with the sword puppet. Under the attack of the Judgment Seven Swords and the sword puppet, which consumed tens of thousands of mid-grade soul crystals, the demon beasts in the sea didn't dare to stop them, and allowed them to swim to the bottom of the trench. As for the Black Demon and the experts from the two great merchant alliances, they seized the opportunity when the majority of the demon beasts were attracted by the Black Turtle King. They used all of their abilities to forcefully break through the encirclement, leaving the Black Turtle King, Snake Demon King, and the rest of the demon beasts behind. Roar! Piss off for this king! Seeing Yi Qinfeng and the rest break through the encirclement, the Black Turtle King let out an angry roar. His entire body erupted with the strength of 1,000,000 Jin, and he carried the wounded Snake Demon King and the rest to break through the encirclement. With the Black Turtle King's strength, the demon beasts in the trench couldn't stop him at all. However, his subordinates were in a miserable state. They were constantly attacked by the demon beasts in the trench, which worsened their injuries. Soon, 2 of the demon beasts under the Black Turtle King's command were bitten to pieces by the demon beasts in the trench due to their heavy injuries, and they died in the trench. As for the Black Demon, whose speed was far slower than Yi Qinfeng's group, the two great merchant alliances suffered even more losses. When they were close to the underwater cave, people were constantly being killed by the demon beast. About half an hour later, under the protection of the sword puppet, Yi Qinfeng and Yu Nikhang successfully broke through the encirclement and appeared at the bottom of the trench. Chapter 210. Damn it, where is this underwater cave? As far as the eye could see, there was no sign of a cave at the bottom of the trench. Yi Qinfeng ordered the sword puppet to defend against the demon beasts, while he released his powerful soul power to sense the location of the underwater cave. Teleportation power. After about half an incense stick's worth of time, Yi Qinfeng's soul power detected an extremely weak teleportation power from several thousand meters away. He immediately flapped his golden rock wings and brought Yu Nikhang with him as they flew through the high pressure of the seawater at an extremely fast speed. After traveling several thousand meters, Yi Qinfeng discovered a 1-meter-tall stone stele at the bottom of the trench. It gave off an ancient aura. Below this stone stele was an ancient teleportation formation. Finally found the entrance to the underwater cave. Recalling Mo Yuyan's words, Yi Qinfeng quickly released his soul power to clean up the mud around the stone tablet. At the center of the stone tablet, he found 3 identical keyholes. Without hesitation, he inserted the key in his hand into the keyholes. Immediately, a strange energy was released from the stone tablet and seeped into the seawater. The dozens of sea demons that were fighting fiercely with the sword spirit puppets felt the power gushing out from the stone tablet, and they seemed to be greatly frightened. They were so scared that they fled in panic and soon disappeared. Phew, finally safe. Yi Qinfeng let out a long sigh of relief when he saw that the sea monster had been scared away by the power of the stone tablet. He quickly fused the 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals into the sword spirit puppet's body, which had almost exhausted all of its energy. He and the Moon Raiment made use of the limited time they had to recover their soul energy. After about half an incense stick's worth of time, the heavily injured black demons and the 2 merchant alliances successfully broke through to the bottom of the trench and arrived at the stone tablet. After the bloody battle with the demon beasts in the trench, the black demons suffered heavy casualties. 4 of the 6 demon kings died, leaving only the black demons, sword demon, saber demon, and spear demon king. The 2 merchant alliances suffered even more casualties. The Star Merchant Alliance only had a Class 4 Mystic Beast ancestor Xing Yun and a Class 3 Mystic Beast ancestor Xing Hun left. Of the 4 from the Solitary Cloud Merchant Alliance, only the Supreme Elder Gu Tianxing survived. The other 3 were all killed by the sea demons in the trench. Black Demon, quickly insert the key into the stone tablet. Yi Chunfeng looked at Black Demon, whose face was as gloomy as water and whose body was riddled with wounds, and urged him with a voice transmission. Black Demon inserted the key in his hand into the stone tablet. The stone tablet once again released a strange power, and dense ripples appeared on the surface of the sea. Roar! A deafening roar sounded. The Black Tortoise King, who was in his combat form, held a heavy and powerful axe. He led the Snake Demon King and other demon beasts and finally broke out of the encirclement. However, the Black Tortoise King's side had also suffered heavy casualties. Besides the Black Tortoise King and the Snake Demon King, of the 9 level 2 heavenly beasts, only 3 were left. The other 6 had all perished in the trench. They had never expected such a result. Never in their wildest dreams would they have thought that there would be such a large number of casualties before they even entered the undersea cave. Lowly humans, why didn't you inform this king of the dangers here in advance? The Black Turtle King widened his round eyes, angrily looking at Xingyun and the others. He was enraged. So this trench isn't that dangerous. Xingyun didn't dare to blame the irritable Black Tortoise King, and he didn't know how to explain it. The reason why he didn't warn them in advance was because he wanted to trick Yi Chunfeng. However, who would have thought that Yi Chunfeng and Black Tortoise King were fine under the protection of the sword puppet, but they suffered heavy casualties. Tell me, what dangers are there in this undersea cave? If Xingyun and the others weren't still useful, the angry Black Tortoise King would have torn them apart to vent his anger. Our 3 business alliances have entered the undersea cave's outer area more than 10 times in the past 1,000 years. Every time we stayed there for a full year. Almost all the dangers were eliminated. However, because the undersea cave's inner area has a restriction formation, our 3 business alliances couldn't break the restriction formation and enter the undersea cave's inner area. So, I don't know what's inside. Looking at the Black Tortoise King, who was full of killing intent, Xingyun didn't dare to hide anything and said truthfully, "Trash." The Black Tortoise King scolded and inserted the last key into the stone tablet. Rumble! A thunderous boom rang out from the stone tablet. Countless rays of white light poured out from the teleportation formation under the stone tablet, illuminating the dark trench as if it was daytime. The dazzling light was unbearable. Even the strongest Black Tortoise King closed his eyes at this moment. In the next moment, a large number of talismans emerged from the teleportation formation under the stone tablet and enveloped everyone. In the blink of an eye, everyone disappeared from the trench and entered the undersea cave. The endless white light disappeared in front of his eyes. Yi Chunfeng instinctively shook his hand and found that Yu Nikhang was still beside him. He couldn't help but feel relieved. This is the undersea cave's outer area? When looking around, Yi Chunfeng found that he appeared in a boundless desert. At a glance, he couldn't see the end. Moreover, the spirit chi in the desert was very thin. It was almost negligible. This made him a little surprised. Not good. Just when Yi Chunfeng was observing the surrounding environment, his keen perception sensed danger. Without thinking, he immediately summoned the golden rock wings and flew into the air with Yu Nikhang. The moment he dodged, an axe that cut through the air fell from the sky and cut a deep mark in the place where he was just a moment ago. Big Tortoise, what are you doing? Tightly hugging Yi Chunfeng's body, Yu Nichang's charming eyes were filled with anger as she questioned loudly. Now that you've entered this place, you have no value. Die obediently. The Black Tortoise King spoke in human language. Its huge body flew into the air, and approached Yi Chunfeng at an extremely fast speed. However, Yi Chunfeng's flying ability was far superior to the Black Tortoise King. He fiercely flapped his golden rock wings and quickly flew to a height that the Black Tortoise King could not reach. He held the titanic sword in his hand and launched a counterattack at the Black Tortoise King. Although relying on its own strength and defense, the Black Tortoise King could ignore Yi Chunfeng's attack. However, its attack could not hit Yi Chunfeng. It was constantly attacked, which made the Black Tortoise King very angry. Its lungs were about to explode from anger. "Lowly human, this king will definitely swallow you." The angry Black Tortoise King roared loudly at Yi Chunfeng. The terrifying sound wave caused the air to tremble violently. It shook Yi Chunfeng's blood and qi to churn. It's not certain who will kill who. After shedding all pretense of cordiality, Yi Chunfeng no longer had any scruples. With a thought, he summoned the sword puppet and ordered it to attack the 3 scarred subordinates of the Black Tortoise King. The 3 subordinates of the Black Tortoise King were not as strong as the sword puppet. Now that they were heavily injured, they were even less able to block the sword puppet's attack. In the blink of an eye, a golden shell demon crab had its hard crab shell split open by the sword puppet's sharp attack. Its demon core was also shattered by the sword puppet's sword. It couldn't be more dead. "People of the Black Demon, follow me." Seeing the Black Tortoise King and the other demon beasts being restrained by Yi Chunfeng and the sword puppet, the Black Demon did not hesitate and immediately led the group into the depths of the desert. Meanwhile, the people from the 2 merchant unions saw that the Black Tortoise King couldn't do anything to Yi Chunfeng. They were afraid that it would vent its anger on them, so they followed the Black Demon's group. "Little bastard, just you wait. Sooner or later, I will tear you apart." Chapter 211. Chingfeng, now that we have shed all pretense of cordiality with the mysterious Turtle King, we must always be on guard against it. With its strength, it would be too easy for it to kill us. Unikheng gazed at the departing figures of the 4 demonic beasts and solemnly said, "Yes, I will be careful, but if it really comes to a situation where I can't dodge, it won't be able to kill me." Yi Chunfeng used this 1 month to refine 2 formation talismans precisely to deal with the mysterious Turtle King. Let's go. I hope we have gained something in this 1 year. With that, Yi Chunfeng put away the sword puppet into his spatial pouch and quickly flapped his golden ping wings, flying towards the end of the desert at an extremely fast speed. "Chingfeng, why is the periphery of this underwater cave so big?" Yi Chunfeng took Unikheng and quickly flew above the void for a day or so, but they still couldn't reach the end of the desert. This caused Unikheng to reveal a thick expression of shock. The strength of the master of this cave is not to be underestimated. If my guess is correct, the periphery of this cave is formed from tens of thousands of formation talismans. With the God-Eater brain, Yi Chunfeng's knowledge was far beyond Unichang's, so he easily saw through the truth of this desert space. This is the legendary mustard seed space. Unikheng took a deep breath and said with astonishment, "Could the master of this cave be an emperor-level powerhouse?" The strength of a peerless king was already shocking enough, but an emperor-level powerhouse was at the top of the pyramid of the Duhan continent. With a wave of their hand they could destroy mountains and cut off rivers. They were absolutely great characters that could shake the entire Duhan continent with a stomp of their feet. Yes, the master of this cave is very likely an emperor-level powerhouse. Moreover, he should be one of the best among them. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, "What kind of fortune would a peerless emperor leave behind here?" Unichang's beautiful eyes shone with anticipation. "Oasis, there's an oasis in front. Let's go there and rest." Yi Chunfeng took Unikheng and flew for more than 6 hours. They had already left the Black Turtle King and the others far behind. They saw a lush green oasis in the distance. It was filled with green trees and rippling water halos. They directly flew over. "How beautiful! I never thought that there would be such a beautiful oasis in this desolate desert." Looking at the lush green grass, the tall ancient trees, and the rippling water of the lake, Yunichang's charming face revealed traces of joy. She immediately took off her little boots and walked barefooted into the lake. Qingfeng, can I take a bath? Feeling the cool and refreshing lake water, Yunichang couldn't wait to wash off the blood on her body. Okay, I'll go stand guard for you. Hurry up, I'm afraid it will be dangerous if you stay too long. Yi Chunfeng rubbed his nose and said helplessly. Qingfeng, if you want to watch me take a bath, remember to tell me. Don't sneak a peek, it's not good for your body. Yunichang threw a charming glance at Yi Chunfeng and boldly said, I won't watch. Yi Chunfeng wryly smiled and turned around to leave the oasis, leaving behind Yunichang, who was laughing wantonly. I wonder if the God-Eater brain can break the seal of this cave with its power? Feeling that the cave master's attainment in array patterns exceeded his imagination, Yi Chunfeng didn't have the confidence to break the seal and enter the cave. Time passed minute by minute. Just as Yi Chunfeng patiently waited for the time it took for a stick of incense to burn, Yunichang's frightened scream suddenly came from the oasis. Something's wrong. Yi Chunfeng suddenly stood up. His keen perception detected a strong killing intent in the deep lake of the oasis. Without hesitation, he summoned the golden rock wings and flew over at an extremely fast speed. When he flew to the oasis, he found that Moon Raiment, who was shrouded in mist, was fighting with a murloc that was covered in thick scales. It had fins beside its ears, a huge mouth, and a steel fork in its hand. Puppet! Yi Chunfeng used his powerful soul power to scan the strange fishman. He found that there was no vitality in its body. It was obvious that it was the same as the sword puppet, a puppet created by someone else. However, the sword puppet was not something that the fishman puppet in front of him could compare with in terms of strength and craftsmanship. The fishman puppet in front of him was at most equivalent to a peak level 2 mystic beast sect expert. Nikhang, quickly go ashore and put on your clothes. Leave it to me. Yi Chunfeng warned and slapped his Qianquan bag. The gigantic fault heavenly sword that weighed over 5,000 kilograms flew out and pierced towards the fishman puppet at an extremely fast speed. The sword forced the fishman puppet to retreat. Gugu facing the attack of Yi Chunfeng's gigantic fault heavenly sword, the fishman puppet let out an angry cry. It waved its steel trident and mobilized the power of the lake to attack Yi Chunfeng. Pillars of water soared into the sky like surging flood dragons and bombarded Yi Chunfeng's body. Profound frost spirit water, ice seal. Facing the concentrated attacks in the water, Yi Chunfeng immediately mobilized the power of the profound frost spirit water and froze the water pillars into icicles. Then, with the help of the titanic fault heavenly sword, he launched an attack on the merman puppet. Instant kill sword. The moment Yi Chunfeng slid in the air, his perfect sword force gushed out from his body and poured all of his strength into the gigantic fault heavenly sword. He activated the gigantic fault heavenly sword and shattered the steel trident in the fishman puppet's hand. He then slashed the fishman puppet's shoulder. What a tough body! The fishman puppet's shoulder was attacked by the gigantic fault heavenly sword. Only a small piece of its black scales was broken and a small sword mark was left. Pah! After the shoulder was injured by Yi Chunfeng, a long fishtail flew out from the lake and whipped toward Yi Chunfeng at an extremely fast speed. When Yi Chunfeng held the gigantic fault heavenly sword and blocked the fishman puppet's tail attack, a strong electric current was sent out from the black-scaled tail and poured into Yi Chunfeng's body. The powerful electric current made his body go numb for a short while. Sword puppet. At this critical moment, Yi Chunfeng, who had a slow reaction, summoned the sword puppet and forced back the fishman puppet's tail attack. He then interweaved a large area of sword light and surrounded the fishman puppet. Under the fierce attack of the sword puppet, the fishman puppet was soon unable to hold on and was finally split open by the sword puppet. What is that? Demon crystal bone. After the fishman puppet's body was shattered, Yi Chunfeng unexpectedly found 2 pearl-sized demon crystal bones inside its body. They contained the power of thunder and demon qi. It seems like the demon crystal bones of the 3 merchant unions were obtained from killing these puppets. Yi Chunfeng waved his hand and released wisps of soul power. He received the 2 demon crystal bones and returned to the shore. Nikhang, we will each take one of these 2 demon crystal bones. Let's refine them first and then go deeper into the desert. The threat of the Black Turtle King was too great, and this cave was full of strangeness. In order to further increase his strength, Yi Chunfeng decided to refine the demon crystal bones immediately and temper his own bones. Okay. Nikhang, who was neatly dressed, her jet-black hair dripping with water droplets, and her body emitting a faint fragrance, nodded and said, "Let's go to the bottom of the lake." In order to avoid attracting the attention of the Black Turtle King, Black Demon, and the others, Yi Chunfeng chose to refine the demon crystal bones at the bottom of the lake. Once they reached the bottom of the lake, Yi Chunfeng had the sword puppet and Nikhang protect him. Borrowing the power of the God-Eater brain, he slowly devoured the demon qi inside the demon crystal bones and refined them with Nikhang. Roughly a day later, Yi Chunfeng and Nikhang finished refining the demon crystal bones. With the help of this demon crystal bone that contained the power of thunder and lightning, Yi Chunfeng cultivated to 60% of the bone-tempering realm. His physical strength rapidly increased, reaching nearly 400,000 jin. As for Nikhang, she cultivated to 70% of the bone-tempering realm, her physical strength reaching 150,000 jin. Let's go. With his physical strength greatly increased, Yi Chunfeng didn't delay any longer. He left the bone-chilling lake with Nikhang, summoned the golden rock wings, and continued to fly towards the end of the desert. Chapter 212. What a powerful formation rune! This should be the formation rune restriction that isolates the inner mansion. Yi Chunfeng looked at the light curtain restriction in front of him and felt that the restriction was filled with powerful formation runes. The strength of these formation runes was completely beyond Yi Chunfeng's understanding. It could be said that the formation runes that formed this restriction were the most terrifying formation runes that Yi Chunfeng had ever seen. Nikhang, sword puppet, protect me. I will try to crack this formation rune restriction. Yi Chunfeng instructed and sat cross-legged under the light curtain. He used the power of the God-Eater brain to surge into the restriction and try to crack it. Although the God-Eater brain was very powerful, Yi Chunfeng's realm was too low. The power of the God-Eater brain was very limited, so it was very difficult for him to crack this formation rune restriction. Fortunately, Yi Chunfeng had the golden rock wings, so he had left the Mystic Turtle King, Black Demon, and the others far behind him. Therefore, they would not disturb Yi Chunfeng for a short time. What a mysterious formation rune! That person has actually comprehended the formation rune to such an extent. Yi Chunfeng controlled the God-Eater brain to comprehend and deduce the formation rune. Even with the God-Eater brain, Yi Chunfeng would not be able to crack this formation rune restriction in a short time. Days passed. Yi Chunfeng was like a statue. He sat cross-legged on the spot without moving, constantly using the God-Eater brain to crack the formation rune. On the 4th day, Black Demon, Sword Demon, and the others appeared. They really came here one step ahead of us. Sword Demon's turbid eyes shot out a sharp murderous intent. He looked at Yi Chunfeng and the sword puppet who almost killed him and said coldly, "That Yi Chunfeng is not simple. Just his wings alone make him invincible," Black Demon said in a low voice. The experts of the Xian Beast sect did not have the ability to fly. Only when they broke through to the reverse Beast King realm could they rely on the qualitative change of their spiritual beast to condense soul wings and have the ability to fly. Black Demon, should we try to kill him? If we work together, we might have a chance. The Sword Demon also coveted the treasures on Yi Chunfeng's body, especially the gigantic fault heavenly sword. It was a fatal temptation to him. "Don't worry. Now is not the time to kill him. Wait until we enter the inner palace. Black Demon shook his head. After witnessing Yi Chunfeng's endless methods, he had a feeling deep in his heart that Yi Chunfeng might be able to help him enter the inner palace and seek greater opportunities. Chunfeng, Black Devil and the others are here. Eunuch Heng saw Black Devil and the other three coming from afar. Her heart tightened. She immediately woke up Yi Chunfeng, who was breaking the restrictions of the formation. Yi Chunfeng, don't be nervous. We mean you no harm. Black Demon looked at Yi Chunfeng, who was looking at him as if he was facing a great enemy, and revealed a friendly smile. He said, "Are you interested in working with me to break this restriction?" "Why? You have a way?" Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly and asked. After studying for about 4 days, Yi Chunfeng did not find any clues. So, even though he knew that Black Demon was up to no good, he still felt a little interested. "I've brought an ancient formation, and I can control this ancient formation to attack the restriction, causing it to change. If your attainments in formation runes are deep enough, you might be able to reap unexpected benefit." The Black Devil told Yi Chunfeng the method without hiding anything. "We can try this method, but you have to swear by the heavenly Tao that you will not sneak attack me while I am breaking the formation." Yi Chunfeng pondered for a moment and said, "No problem." The Black Demon nodded and made a vow to the heavenly Tao. "Good. Let's not delay. Let's begin." In order to enter the inner mansion, Yi Chunfeng chose to ask a tiger for its skin. He took a risk. Demon-killing formation, appear. A ring inlaid with a gem on Black Demon's finger suddenly emitted a large amount of black light. A large formation overflowing with demonic light emerged from the ring. Universe ring. Seeing the gem ring on Black Demon's finger, Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly. He did not expect Black Demon to have such a priceless and extremely rare universe ring. Demon-killing formation, attack. After summoning the demon-killing formation, Black Demon immediately activated the large formation. Endless attacking black light gushed out from the demon-killing formation, emitting a hair-raising ghostly cry. It bombarded the light curtain-like formation pattern restriction. Rumble. The restriction was attacked by the demon-killing formation and violently fluctuated. A powerful force gushed out from the restriction and dissolved the black light attack. The powerful force cracked the ground. God-Eater Brain, comprehend. Yi Chunfeng ordered the sword puppet to be on guard against Sword Demon and the others at all times. While enduring the recoil, he released his soul power into the violently fluctuating restriction to comprehend the changes in the formation pattern. This method is indeed effective. The God-Eater Brain comprehended for more than 6 hours. Through the subtle changes in the formation pattern, it grasped a clue and began to slowly understand. Ao, you humans are actually faster than this king. Lowly brat, let's see where you can run today. Yi Chunfeng had just found a clue to break the restriction when a rolling roar came from afar. The Black Tortoise King, who had transformed into its original form, stepped on the yellow sand and rushed over at an extremely fast speed. Black Tortoise King, don't hurt Yi Chunfeng first. He might be able to help us enter the inner mansion. When the Black Tortoise King appeared, Black Demon, who was controlling the demon-killing formation, immediately transmitted a message to the Black Tortoise King. Under Black Demon's instructions, Sword Demon blocked in front of the Black Tortoise King, preventing it from approaching Yi Chunfeng. What? That bastard really has this ability? The Black Tortoise King's round eyes stared at Yi Chunfeng and asked with a look of disbelief. Give him a month. If he doesn't make any progress in a month, you and I will work together to kill him and divide the treasures on his body. Black Demon transmitted a message. All right, this king will let that brat live for another month. The Black Tortoise King nodded its huge head and transmitted a message. Yi Chunfeng, don't worry. I have already resolved the grudge between you and the Black Tortoise King. You can break the restriction without worry. Black Demon looked at Yi Chunfeng's serious face and said. Hearing Black Demon's words, Yi Chunfeng's sharp eyes scanned the Black Tortoise King, who didn't approach him without permission. He closed his eyes and continued to control the God-Eater brain to break the restriction. After another 3 days, Xing Yun, Xing Hun, and Gu Tianxing appeared together. When the 3 of them discovered that the curtain-like restriction was moving slowly and formed an extremely slow whirlpool in the center of the restriction, they looked as if they had seen a ghost. Could Yi Chunfeng really be able to break the restriction of the inner mansion? Xing Yun, Gu Tianxing, and the others looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. Time flew by quickly and 10 days passed in a flash. On the 20th day of Yi Chunfeng's comprehension of the formation runes, a crisscrossing formation runes appeared in the God-Eater brain. The patterns and structure of these formation runes were exactly the same as the ones in the inner mansion. Under Black Demon's control, Yi Chunfeng finally understood the formation runes. He could reverse the formation runes at any time and enter the inner mansion. Nick Heng, pretend to wipe my sweat and come to my side. Yi Chunfeng transmitted a message to Yu Nikhang. After receiving Yi Chunfeng's message, Yu Nichang's heart trembled. She took out a fragrant handkerchief from her cosmos bag and walked to Yi Chunfeng's side. She seemed to be intimately wiping the sweat on Yi Chunfeng's forehead. However, her intimate action didn't attract much attention. Chapter 213. Oh no, we've been fooled by that kid. Seeing Yi Chunfeng take Yu Nikhang into the restriction and disappear, Hei Mo, Black Turtle King, and the others were so angry that their lungs exploded. They attacked the energy ripples of the restriction. Because this restriction was forcibly changed by Yi Chunfeng, it became fragile in a short time. Black Turtle King and the others attacked fiercely, constantly destroying the formation and tearing the restriction bit by bit. Phew, finally in. After smoothly entering the inner mansion, Yi Chunfeng breathed a sigh of relief and looked around the environment. What a beautiful place! Yi Chunfeng had seen a lot of fairyland-like scenery, but when he first entered the inner mansion, he was still disappointed by the beautiful scenery in front of him. A vast sea of clouds flowed slowly between the immortal mountains. Numerous ancient trees were covered with mouth-watering fruits. Countless spirit springs gushed out from underground. The spiritual energy in the air made people feel relaxed and happy just by inhaling it. How can the scenery in the inner mansion be so beautiful? Looking at the dreamlike scenery in front of her, Yu Nikhang exclaimed, her eyes were full of intoxication. Let's go, Chunfeng. Let's go to the inner mansion to find opportunities. After entering the inner mansion, which was like a paradise, Yu Nikhang couldn't wait to find her own opportunity. Wait, Nikhang, don't move. Just when Yu Nikhang wanted to run over and pick a bright red fruit to quench her thirst, Yi Chunfeng suddenly reached out and grabbed her. What's wrong, Chunfeng? Is there danger here? Seeing Yi Chunfeng's face suddenly become serious, Yu Nikhang immediately stopped and asked softly. What we see is not real. If I'm not wrong, the beautiful scenery in front of us is the illusion of the formation. There is danger here. Yi Chunfeng looked at the beautiful scenery in front of him like lightning and released the power of the God-Eater brain. Sword Puppet, attack the 100-meter-tall tree in the northwest. Yi Chunfeng's gaze locked onto a 100-meter-tall tree in the northwest. It was a giant tree with luxuriant foliage that looked like a pillar that supported the heavens. He gave the sword puppet an order. So, when the sword puppet approached the 100-meter-tall tree with its titanic fault celestial sword, bolts of lightning descended from the heavens without any warning, bombarding the sword puppet's body with extreme speed. As expected, there is danger here. Yu Nichang's expression changed slightly as she watched the continuous lightning strikes. If Yi Chunfeng had not stopped her in time, she would have been seriously injured by the sudden lightning strikes. Withstanding the thunderous attacks from the ninth heaven, the sword spirit puppet approached the 100-meter-long giant tree at an extremely fast speed and launched a fierce attack at it. The crescent-shaped sword shadows kept attacking the giant tree. The sharp sword light took away all the brilliance in the surroundings. The violent fluctuations in the air kept producing the sound of cloth being torn. After a round of fierce attacks, the 100-meter-tall giant tree was reduced to dust and scattered in the air. Then, the picturesque space suddenly shattered like broken glass, and a slowly moving ancient formation shrouded over their heads. As expected, the scenery just now was the illusion of the formation. Looking at the ancient formation in front of him, which was emitting a simple and austere aura, Yi Chunfeng's expression became even more serious. This was because he sensed a strong killing intent from this ancient formation. "Sword puppet, help us open a path. Nikhang, you stand in the middle. I'll cover the rear. Let's go." With that, Yi Chunfeng and the other two lined up and rushed into the ancient formation that was filled with intense killing intent. The moment Yi Chunfeng and the other two walked into the ancient formation was activated. A powerful pressure surged from the sky like a towering mountain and pressed down on the three of them. Facing this pressure, the sword puppet's energy was constantly depleted. Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikhang quickly circulated their 6 Meridian Divine shield to increase their physical strength. They withstood the pressure and walked step by step towards the end of the ancient formation. Roar! Roar! Yi Chunfeng and the other two withstood the huge pressure and slowly moved forward. A large amount of thunder surged from all directions and gathered into 3 10-meter-long thunder flood dragons with a single horn on their heads that were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. They launched an attack at them. Facing the 3 thunder flood dragons' attack, the sword puppet didn't dodge at all. While withstanding the attacks of the thunder flood dragons, it used the gigantic fault heavenly sword to counterattack and damage the thunder flood dragons' bodies. Roar! While the sword puppet was fighting against the 3 thunder flood dragons by itself, another 2 terrifying thunder flood dragons appeared and attacked Yi Chunfeng from behind. Facing the sudden attack, a loud dragon roar resounded from Yi Chunfeng's body. A terrifying blood dragon phantom appeared behind him and increased his soul power. Collapsing cloud palm. Fusing with the blood dragon's power, Yi Chunfeng poured 400,000 jin of strength into his right palm and launched a collapsing cloud palm at the 2 blood dragon seals. It bombarded the head of a thunder flood dragon that was close to him. Rumble! Deafening thunder resounded. The huge thunder flood dragon was pushed back by Yi Chunfeng's 400,000 jin of strength and the collapsing cloud palm. Yunichang's attack with the Aquamoon Everlasting Sword also forcefully resisted the last Thunder Flood Dragon's attack. Don't continue fighting. Full speed ahead. Although Yi Chunfeng's group resisted the Thunder Flood Dragon's attack with their attacks, the Thunder Flood Dragons were unkillable in this ancient formation. Realizing this problem, Yi Chunfeng's group continued to move forward while enduring the immense pressure and the Thunder Flood Dragon's attack. As they went deeper, the number of Thunder Flood Dragons in the ancient formation increased. The pressure on Yi Chunfeng's group increased. In the end, dozens of murderous Thunder Flood Dragons completely sealed off their path, preventing them from moving forward. "Nikhang, are you alright?" Yi Chunfeng looked at Yu Nikhang, who was panting and exhausted, and asked with concern. Although Yunichang's cultivation was much higher than Yi Chunfeng's, Yi Chunfeng had the primal chaos divine wood. His resistance to lightning was extremely high. In addition to his extraordinary physical strength, his consumption was much less than Yunichang's. "Don't worry about me. I can still hold on." Yu Nikhang took a deep breath and replied. However, the attacks of dozens of Thunder Flood Dragons were too terrifying. The overwhelming attacks completely enveloped them. Life Spirit Technique. The situation was urgent. Yi Chunfeng knew that he could no longer hide his strength. He instantly burned 50 years of his life force. A large amount of life force erupted in his body, rapidly increasing his cultivation level. In an instant, Yi Chunfeng's cultivation level rose from level 4 Celestial Beast Immortal to level 3 Celestial Beast Grandmaster. The blood dragon's roar resounded through the sky. "Sword puppet, attack with all your might." After using the life spirit technique to increase his cultivation level by 5 minor realms, Yi Chunfeng's strength had reached an extremely terrifying level. He roared and attacked together with the sword puppet, attacking the dozens of thunder flood dragons that were blocking their path. 7 Swords of Judgment, Extreme Frost. The terrifying power of the Great Path quickly evolved. The Extreme Frost Sword aura was like a meteor falling to the mortal world. It froze the void and annihilated the lightning released by the dozens of thunder flood dragons. At this time, the sword puppet burned the power of 50,000 mid-grade soul crystals. Its entire body merged with the gigantic fault heavenly sword, turning into a giant sword that cut through the void. It slashed forward with shocking destructive power. Nick Heng, let's go! The moment the sword puppet turned into a sword and attacked with all its might, Yi Chunfeng summoned the golden rock wings. He hugged the exhausted and panting Yu Nick Heng in his arms and broke out of the ancient array at an extremely fast speed. Chapter 214. Sword Puppet, continue to burn mid-grade soul crystals and attack with all your might. Sensing that the sword puppet had burned 50,000 mid-grade soul crystals and was about to run out of energy, Yi Chunfeng ordered it to burn mid-grade soul crystals at all costs and attack with unstoppable momentum. As the sword spirit puppet continuously burned mid-grade soul crystals to attack, the lightning flood dragons that tried to block its path were all slashed apart. A large number of thunderous booms rang out in the ancient formation, causing Yi Chunfeng and the sword spirit puppet's souls to tremble. A large amount of blood flowed out of their 7 orifices. After about half an hour, Yi Chunfeng and the other 2 had torn apart dozens of thunder dragons that tried to stop them and appeared at the edge of the ancient array. Rumble! With a powerful aftershock, the sword puppet slashed at the light barrier at the edge of the ancient array with all its might. A large number of cracks appeared on the barrier's surface and quickly spread in all directions. 7 Swords of Judgment, Extreme Cold. Yi Chunfeng saw that the sword puppet's all-out attack had failed to break through the light barrier. The golden rock flapped its wings violently, withstanding the terrifying spatial pressure, and flew into the air. It charged at the cracked light barrier and slashed out a sword light of the great Tao. Boom! The extreme cold sword light, formed from the power of the great Tao, tore through the gravitational space and tore apart a thunder dragon that was whizzing towards it. Let's go! The restriction light screen was broken. The golden rock's wings flapped violently. He swooped down and appeared beside Yunishang, holding her in his arms. Together with the sword spirit puppet, they passed through the restriction light screen that was quickly closing up. They successfully flew out of this ancient formation that was filled with killing intent and entered a simple and ancient hall. Huff, huff, we finally made it out. After narrowly passing through the ancient array, Yi Chunfeng gasped for breath. He still had lingering fears from what he had just experienced. However, in order to break out of the ancient array, the sword puppet had consumed nearly 200,000 mid-grade soul crystals. Yi Chunfeng had also burned 50 years of his lifespan. This consumption was beyond Yi Chunfeng's expectations. I originally thought that nearly 1,000,000 mid-grade soul crystals would be enough to support the sword puppet's consumption. But now that we've just entered the inner mansion, we've consumed nearly 400,000 mid-grade soul crystals. If this situation continues, I'll soon run out of mid-grade soul crystals. Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself in distress as he fused another 300,000 mid-grade soul crystals into the sword puppet's body. Nick Heng, let's keep going. Yi Chunfeng guessed that the inner mansion's restrictions might not be able to stop the Black Turtle King. In order to prevent them from catching up, Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nick Heng each drank a small mouthful of heavenly fate water. They instantly recovered their consumed soul force and walked into a long corridor. And on the walls on both sides of this corridor, huge ancient totem paintings were hung. These ancient paintings depicted flood dragons soaring into the sky, thousands of Yao attacking a city, a great battle between humans and Yao, a bloody massacre for thousands of miles. As they walked, Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikhang felt as if their souls were being sucked away by these ancient paintings. It was as if they were personally experiencing the scenes in these ancient paintings. Slowly, Yi Chunfeng and Yu Nikhang walked slower and slower. More and more white appeared in their eyes as they lost themselves. But the moment Yi Chunfeng's soul was lost, the God-Eater brain released a powerful swallowing power. It swallowed the illusions that were eroding his soul and woke him up. Nikhang, wake up quickly. Yi Chunfeng suddenly woke up. He discovered that Yu Nichang's pupils had disappeared and her eyes were completely white. Her breathing was chaotic and she was restless. She felt as if she was possessed. He immediately let out a deafening roar and woke her up from the illusions. What's wrong? What's wrong with me? After waking up, Yu Nikhang felt an intense killing intent in her heart. She had an impulse to kill someone. She quickly looked at Yi Chunfeng and asked in alarm. Yi Chunfeng used the God-Eater brain's power to sense the strangeness of these ancient paintings. He whispered, "There's something wrong with these ancient paintings. They can make our souls lose themselves and make us lose ourselves." Yi Chunfeng said, "Nikhang, close your eyes and don't look at these ancient paintings. This way, the illusions will have less effect on you. I'll take you away from here." "Okay." Yu Nikhang nodded obediently and closed her eyes. She allowed Yi Chunfeng to hold her soft little hand and lead her to the end of this winding corridor. As they went deeper, the illusions produced by the ancient paintings became stronger and stronger. A large number of illusory scenes appeared before Yi Chunfeng's eyes, trying to lose his soul. However, with the God-Eater brain's power, Yi Chunfeng saw through the nature of these illusions. He held Yu Nichang's little hand and quickly walked to the end of the corridor. Around 2 hours later, Yi Chunfeng and the other two walked through a corridor that was hundreds of thousands of meters long. When they reached the end of the corridor, they discovered that at the end of the corridor, there were 2 statues with their eyes closed. They wore golden armor and held dragon-headed swords. They were mighty and unyielding. What a powerful soul fluctuation! Yi Chunfeng's powerful soul perception sensed the intense soul energy fluctuations from these 2 statues. He immediately became alert and ordered the sword puppet to protect Yu Nikhang, who had her eyes closed and a painful expression on her face as she struggled to resist the illusions. He then walked over alone. When Yi Chunfeng was 3 meters away from these 2 statues, they suddenly opened their eyes. A powerful soul energy surged out and instantly transformed into 2 soul war gods holding dragon-headed swords. They slashed at Yi Chunfeng. Blood Dragon, fuse! Suddenly attacked by 2 soul war gods, a powerful dragon's roar resounded in Yi Chunfeng's body. Endless red light gushed out and instantly condensed into a several 100-meter-long blood dragon. 400,000 Jin of strength slash. The moment he fused with the blood dragon, Yi Chunfeng burst out with 400,000 Jin of strength. He held the gigantic fault heavenly sword and clashed with the 2 soul war gods. Although the 2 soul war gods' attack power was terrifying, their defense was extremely weak as they had soul bodies. Yi Chunfeng used the shifting phantom and created 9 afterimages. He dodged the attacks while waiting for an opportunity to attack their bodies. 7 swords of judgment, extreme cold. Yi Chunfeng fought fiercely with the 2 soul gods of war for the time it took for a stick of incense to burn. Suddenly, he found the best opportunity to attack. His perfect sword aura surged out of his body, and the power of deduction of the great Tao transformed into an extremely cold sword ray. He attacked the 2 soul gods of war whose bodies were overlapping. Tisk tisk. After facing the extreme cold sword light head-on, the 2 soul war gods' bodies exploded and turned into soul energy that filled the sky. However, at the next moment, the soul energy that filled the void surged and rushed into Yi Chunfeng's soul. It wanted to tear his soul apart. God-Eater brain, devour. However, Yi Chunfeng was prepared. The moment the river-like soul energy rushed into his soul, he immediately controlled the God-Eater brain to devour it. A devouring whirlpool formed in Yi Chunfeng's mind and devoured the soul energy of the two soul war gods. Crack! After the soul energy was devoured, the two statues immediately shattered. The door at the end of the corridor opened automatically. An ancient and turbid aura rushed into the corridor. Let's go. Yi Chunfeng hugged Yu Nikhang in his arms. He and the sword puppet rushed out of the corridor that was filled with illusions. They entered the inner hall that was filled with dense spiritual energy and many statues. Chapter 2:15. How many years has it been? Finally, someone has entered this place. When Yi Chunfeng walked into the inner hall, hundreds of statues opened their eyes at the same time. Then, a powerful soul force appeared above the inner hall, converging into an old face. Senior, are you the dwelling spirit of this underwater cave? Looking at the old face in front of him, Yi Chunfeng immediately guessed that it was very likely the dwelling spirit of this underwater cave. Yes, I am the dwelling spirit of this underwater cave. The old face said in a deep voice, if you can pass the various tests here, you can obtain the inheritance of this cave. If you choose to give up, I will also give you some benefits. After all, you are the first humans to reach this place. Senior, what benefits will you give me if we choose to give up? Yu Nikhang didn't want to be a burden to Yi Chunfeng. She bit her alluring red lips and looked at the old face as she asked. A mass of sea heart essence that can increase one's cultivation and a demon crystal bone. The old face said. Okay, Junior chooses to give up. Yu Nikhang said without hesitation. Nikhang, didn't we agree to enter the underwater cave together? Why did you suddenly give up? Don't you want the opportunities here? Yi Chunfeng didn't expect Yu Nikhang to give up and quickly asked. Chingfeng, I am already very satisfied to be able to reach this place and obtain the sea heart essence and demon crystal bone. I will wait here for you. I will wait for you to return with a full load. Yu Nikhang looked at Yi Chunfeng with a gentle gaze and said softly. Okay, Chingfeng, I have made up my mind. You don't need to persuade me. Yu Nikhang gently extended a finger and pressed it on Yi Chunfeng's lip. She gently shook her head and said. Yi Chunfeng knew why Yu Nikhang chose to give up and was worried about her safety, so he asked, Senior Manor Spirit, if my friend chooses to give up and wait here, can you protect her? I'm afraid that the enemies behind her will do something to her. As long as she doesn't leave this place, I will naturally protect her safety. However, if she leaves on her own accord, then I can't do anything about it, the old face said with a deep voice. Thank you, Senior. Hearing the mansion spirit's promise, Yi Chunfeng was relieved. He looked at Yu Nichang's charming face and said, Nikhang, since you've made up your mind, then wait for me here. If I get the opportunity to enter the Immortal's Cave, I'll give you a share. Chingfeng, be careful. I'll wait for you. Yu Nikhang nodded. Suddenly, she stood on her tiptoes and gently kissed Yi Chunfeng on the cheek. Yi Chunfeng looked at Yu Nichang's watery eyes and nodded heavily. Junior, have you decided to continue with the test? If you fail the test, you may very well lose your life. Furthermore, the ultimate inheritance left behind by Master is not easy to obtain. However, you have your own advantages. That is, your bone age is very young, so the difficulty will be relatively lower. The mansion spirit looked at Yi Chunfeng's determined eyes and reminded him. I have already decided. I will continue to take the test. Yi Chunfeng nodded his head and said firmly. Good. There are 3 paths in this inner hall. They are the path of thorns, the path of ice and snow, and the path of earth. Choose one and continue forward, the mansion spirit said. Junior chooses the path of ice and snow. With the profound frost spirit water, Yi Chunfeng's resistance to water attribute energy was stronger, so he said without hesitation. All right, you may continue forward. However, on the path of ice and snow, you can only rely on yourself. This clone of yours cannot help you, the mansion spirit said. Junior understands. Nikhang, I'm leaving. Be good and wait for me here. After saying that, Yi Chunfeng put the sword puppet into his Qiankuan pouch. he transformed into an afterimage and rushed into the path of ice and snow with extreme speed. Senior, do you think Xingfeng has a chance to obtain the cave mansion's inheritance? Yu Nikhang asked worriedly as she watched Yi Chunfeng leave. Although his talent is not bad, his chance of obtaining the cave mansion's inheritance is only 1%, the mansion spirit said in a deep voice. 1%? So low. Yu Nichang's expression changed. She quickly asked, what will happen if he fails? With his strength, once he fails the test, there is almost no chance of survival. However, he will have at least 2 chances to give up later on, so there is still hope for him to survive, the mansion spirit said without a trace of emotion. All right, this is the sea heart essence and the magic crystal bone are my rewards for you. You can choose to refine them here or take them away. After saying that, the mansion spirit opened its huge mouth. A mass of water blue, very viscous sea heart essence and a pitch-black, fist-sized magic crystal bone flew out and landed on Yunichang's hand. This magic crystal bone is so big. Seeing the magic crystal bone in front of her, Yu Nikhang revealed a deep shock because this magic crystal bone was several times bigger than what Yi Chunfeng had given her. Moreover, Yu Nikhang did not feel any demonic qi from this magic crystal bone. Clearly, the mansion spirit had helped her refine the demonic qi contained in the magic crystal bone, so she could refine it without worry. Junior chooses to refine it here. Yu Nikhang took a deep breath and decided to refine the sea heart essence and the magic crystal bone to increase her realm and strength. This way, she would be able to help Yi Chunfeng. Alright, you can rest assured and cultivate here. No one can disturb you here. When the 1 year is up, I will send you away. After saying that, the mansion spirit spat out a mass of light mist, which enveloped Yu Nichang's body. Rumble! Just as Yu Nikhang was circulating the soul mantra and absorbing the sea heart essence bit by bit, a deafening explosion rang out. The strongest black tortoise monarch smashed open the door at the end of the hallway and entered the inner hall. He immediately saw Yu Nikhang bathed in the light mist. Roar, tell this king, where did that bastard go? The black tortoise monarch walked with heavy steps and appeared in front of Yu Nikhang. He let out a ferocious roar and loudly questioned. Hearing the black tortoise monarch's question, Yu Nikhang ignored him and continued to absorb the sea heart essence to increase her strength. Motherf ***, are you deaf? This king is asking you a question. The black tortoise monarch saw that Yu Nikhang was ignoring him and became angry. He held a heavy axe that weighed 10,000 jin and chopped towards the light curtain that enveloped Yu Nichang's body. Little tortoise, don't be impudent. At this moment the mansion spirit appeared. A powerful pressure enveloped the black tortoise monarch and forcibly suppressed his body, making him unable to move. Who are you? The black tortoise monarch exploded with a force of 1 million jin, but he was unable to shake the pressure released by the mansion spirit. His heart trembled and he became a lot more obedient. I am the mansion spirit of this cave. Little tortoise, you have 2 choices now. Either you continue to move forward or you choose to give up like her. If you choose to give up, I can give you some benefits. The mansion spirit intimidated the black tortoise monarch and asked in a deep voice. I choose to move forward. Hearing the mansion spirit call him a little tortoise, the black tortoise monarch was furious. However, the mansion spirit gave him too much deterrence, so he did not dare to be impudent. He suppressed the anger in his heart and said, just as the black tortoise monarch entered the path of thorns, black demon, sword demon, snake demon, eight-eyed toad, Xingyun, and lonely Tianxing appeared one after another in the inner palace. As for the other people from the 4 forces, they had all lost themselves in the hallway of illusion and killed each other. In the end, the cowardly Xingyun and lonely Tianxing chose to give up and only obtained the sea heart essence. Chapter 216. It's so cold. If my physical strength wasn't strong enough, I would have been frostbitten by the temperature here. Stepping onto the road of ice and snow, Yi Chunfeng could clearly feel that the temperature around him was dropping rapidly. The terrifying cold air was constantly eroding his body, trying to freeze him. Chaos Divine Wood, devour! A large amount of cold air invaded his body. While Yi Chunfeng controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to devour it, he released the profound frost spirit water to cover his body and resist the cold air on the road of ice and snow. With the protection of the profound frost spirit water, Yi Chunfeng's pressure was greatly reduced. He summoned the golden rock wings and flew towards the end of the road of ice and snow at an extremely fast speed. Yi Chunfeng flew for more than 2 hours and found a huge glacier in front of him. With his keen perception, he felt a strong sense of danger in this glacier that was dozens of miles long. Clearly, there was an unknown danger in this glacier that blocked his way. What's in this glacier? Yi Chunfeng flapped his golden rock wings and carefully approached the huge glacier. When he appeared 10 meters away from the glacier, a deafening explosion sounded. Cracks that were thousands of meters long appeared on the surface of the glacier. A giant hand that seemed to be condensed from ice covered the sky and covered the sun and rushed towards Yi Chunfeng. 400,000 pounds of strength, explode. Suddenly facing the attack of the ice hand, Yi Chunfeng decisively took out the titanic fault heavenly sword and merged it with the power of his spirit beast, the blood dragon. He raised his strength to the peak and flapped his golden rock wings to meet the attack. Wind Shadow Slash. Perfect sword aura burst out. Yi Chunfeng, who was flying at high speed, slashed with the titanic fault heavenly sword. The sword aura that was full of power and sword aura was like a crescent moon that cut through the sky and slashed at the ice hand. Crack! After facing Yi Chunfeng's full strength attack, cracks appeared on the surface of the ice hand. Yi Chunfeng's wind shadow slash was also shattered by the ice hand. After shattering the wind shadow slash, a large hand of ice covered with cracks descended from the sky with a powerful pressure, heading straight for Yi Chunfeng. 7 Swords of Judgment, extreme cold. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath. His perfect sword form began to derive the power of the great Tao. He struck out with the strongest attack that he currently possessed. The sword that was filled with the power of the great Tao pierced through the ice hand that covered an area of nearly 1 mile. Yes, this is a magic crystal bone. Yi Chunfeng's 7 Swords of Judgment pierced through the ice hand, and a magic crystal bone the size of a goose egg fell out from the broken ice hand. Yi Chunfeng then put it into his cosmos bag. After obtaining a magic crystal bone, Yi Chunfeng didn't slow down. His golden rock wings flashed violently, stirring up gusts of cold wind. He passed through the shattered glacier and continued on his way. While Yi Chunfeng was traversing the path of ice and snow, the Black Turtle King, Snake Demon King, Black Demon, and the others were also being tested. However, their bone ages were much older than Yi Chunfeng's, so their tests were much more difficult than Yi Chunfeng's. Instant Kill Sword. An extremely thin sword shadow streaked across the sky. Yi Chunfeng wielded the titanic sword and slashed through the ice sculpture's body. The 6th Magic Crystal Bone. I wonder if the sword puppet can fuse with these magic crystal bones? Relying on his absolute attack power to shatter the ice sculpture, Yi Chunfeng obtained another magic crystal bone the size of a goose egg. Including this one, Yi Chunfeng now had 6 magic crystal bones. He was preparing to use them to replace mid-grade soul crystals and make energy stones for the sword puppet. Days passed. Yi Chunfeng tirelessly killed on the path of ice and snow for 6 days, obtaining 18 magic crystal bones. After 6 days of bloody battles, Yi Chunfeng felt that his cultivation foundation had become more solid. If it wasn't for the dangers of the path of ice and snow, he would have wanted to refine a magic crystal bone and break through to the level 5 heavenly beast immortal realm. After another 2 days, Yi Chunfeng finally reached the end of the path of ice and snow. The number of magic crystal bones in his body had reached 26. A mirror. Why is there a mirror at the end of the path of ice and snow? Yi Chunfeng was at the end of the path of ice and snow. He didn't find the way out, but he found a mirror. He revealed a surprised expression. Could it be that I have to break this mirror to leave this path of ice and snow? Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself. Wielding the titanic sword, he approached the strange mirror. Before he could attack the mirror, an illusory light was projected from the mirror. It shone on his body and penetrated his soul. He was reflected in the mirror. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng's mirror image walked out of the mirror. He was also holding the titanic sword in his hand. Defeat me and you can move on. The loser will die. The mirror image spoke in the same voice as Yi Chunfeng. He pointed the titanic sword at Yi Chunfeng and said with a murderous intent, Interesting. The test of this path of ice and snow is really interesting. Yi Chunfeng looked at the mirror image that was pointing the sword at him. The corner of his mouth lifted slightly. He revealed a faint smile and said with a high fighting spirit, Roar! A deafening dragon roar sounded. A blood dragon that was hundreds of meters long emerged from Yi Chunfeng's body. Its powerful dragon aura made people shudder. The moment Yi Chunfeng summoned the blood dragon, a blood dragon also emerged from the mirror image. It circled in the air and roared at Yi Chunfeng. When Yi Chunfeng saw that his mirror image had actually summoned a spirit beast that looked exactly like him, a look of shock appeared on his cold face. Could it be that this mirror image has all of my abilities? I can only defeat him if I surpass myself. Yi Chunfeng finally understood the true difficulty of the path of ice and snow. Defeating the enemy wasn't scary. Defeating oneself was scary. Alright, I want to see who is more powerful. Yi Chunfeng calmed himself down and shouted. The blood dragon that was hundreds of meters long entered his body and instantly increased his soul power. Instant kill. His soul power surged. Yi Chunfeng wielded the titanic sword and formed an extremely thin sword shadow. He stabbed it at the mirror image's throat. Yi Chunfeng used the instant kill to attack. The mirror image did the exact same thing as Yi Chunfeng. It merged with the blood dragon and used the instant kill to counter the attack. The two sword shadows that were faster than the speed of light collided. Instantly, dense energy halos surged and fluctuated violently. 400,000 kilograms of strength explode. The moment the two sword tips collided, Yi Chunfeng's powerful physical strength exploded. It was like a surging tide that surged into the titanic sword. He wanted to rely on his absolute strength to suppress the mirror image. Gotcha! After being attacked by Yi Chunfeng's 400,000 kilograms of strength, the mirror image couldn't withstand this powerful force. It took a step back uncontrollably and crushed the hard ice road. But in the next moment, the mirror image's arm muscles tightened. It also exploded with 400,000 kilograms of strength and instantly resisted Yi Chunfeng's powerful attack. Shifting Phantom. Relying on absolute strength, Yi Chunfeng didn't gain any advantage. He immediately changed his tactic. He used Shifting Phantom and instantly formed 9 fast afterimages that surrounded the mirror image. He wanted to rely on his rich combat experience to suppress the mirror image. But the mirror image was more difficult to deal with than he imagined. After exchanging blows, he realized that the mirror image's combat experience was no weaker than his. More importantly, the mirror image didn't feel tired at all in the fierce battle. It was a great threat to Yi Chunfeng. Chapter 217. Swish, swish, swish. A series of ear-piercing sounds rang out as the mirror image continued to unleash the instant kill. The lightning-fast sword radiance swept up a boundless sword aura as it continuously attacked Yi Chunfeng's body, forcing him to retreat continuously. The blood and qi in his body churned violently as a stream of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Perfect sword aura, 400,000 strength break for me. In an absolutely disadvantageous situation, Yi Chunfeng roared as the world-shaking perfect sword aura and 400,000 pounds of strength were all infused into the gigantic K heavenly sword, activating its attacking power and thrusting it towards the incoming instant kill. 1. As the two powerful attacks clashed together, a series of explosive sounds rang out. A terrifying force passed through the gigantic K heavenly sword and rushed into Yi Chunfeng's arm, causing the skin on his arm to crack. A large amount of blood flowed out uncontrollably, dyeing his arm red. "You are not a match for me. You had better give up early and let me send you to the next world," the mirror image said arrogantly as it looked at the pale Yi Chunfeng, whose arm was bleeding profusely. "I will not give up until the very last moment." Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and suppressed the injuries on his body. He held the heavy gigantic K heavenly sword tightly and said with a resolute tone. At the moment when his body was injured, Yi Chunfeng wanted to use the Shadow Golden Needle Talisman to directly attack the mirror image's soul and turn the situation around. However, he gave up in the end. "If I cannot even defeat myself, then how can I pursue the Supreme Tao? How can I reach the peak of the martial Tao?" Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath as he clenched his fists and reignited his fighting spirit. "Interesting. I want to see how long you can last." Looking at Yi Chunfeng's eyes that were burning with fighting spirit, the mirror image smiled coldly and continued to attack Yi Chunfeng with the gigantic K heavenly sword. Perfect sword aura chop. Looking at the mirror image that was brimming with killing intent, Yi Chunfeng, who had reignited his fighting spirit, once again clashed with the mirror image. Rumble! As the two of them fought fiercely, waves of destructive chi waves rolled out in all directions. The terrifying power shook the ground of the ice and snow road, causing it to tremble violently. Flowing cloud pierce. Wind shadow slash. Instant kill. In order to injure the mirror image, Yi Chunfeng spared no effort to perform the sword skill of annihilation over and over again. His attacks flowed smoothly like water, gradually turning the tables around. Good chance. When Yi Chunfeng unleashed a force of 400,000 jin and clashed head-on with the mirror image's attack and forced it back, the mirror image revealed a rare opening. Yi Chunfeng did not waste this rare opportunity. His entire body turned into an extremely thin sword shadow. The sword cut through the cold air and stabbed towards the mirror image's chest. Chi. A piercing fiery light lit up on the mirror image's chest. When Yi Chunfeng executed the instant kill, the sword image did not pierce through the mirror image's body. It only left a long sword wound on the mirror image's chest. Not a single drop of blood flowed out. What? There is a problem with the mirror image's body? This test is not fair. Yi Chunfeng did not expect the mirror image's body to be so tough. His full-powered attack with the Titanic Fault Heavenly Sword was actually unable to harm it. This made Yi Chunfeng's heart fall to the bottom. "I already said that you cannot defeat me. You had better give up obediently. Don't put up a pointless struggle," the mirror image said arrogantly as it looked at the gloomy and panting Yi Chunfeng. "I also told you, I won't give up until the last moment." Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and cleared his mind of all distracting thoughts. He looked at the mirror image with a burning gaze and once again unleashed a powerful force to attack it. Profound Frost Spirit Water. When he was 3 meters away from the mirror image, Yi Chunfeng released the Profound Frost Spirit Water that gushed out of his body and froze the mirror image. Kacha. The mirror image was attacked by the Profound Frost Spirit Water, and its body immediately condensed into a thick layer of ice. Its entire body was frozen. Collapsing Cloud Palm. Yi Chunfeng roared. 400,000 jin of strength gushed out of his palm and pressed towards the mirror image that was frozen by the Profound Frost Spirit Water. The powerful palm shattered the ice and fiercely pressed against the mirror image's chest. The collapsing cloud palm that was filled with 400,000 jin of strength was enough to shatter a mountain. However, when it hit the mirror image's body, it was only able to push it back 3 steps. It was still unable to injure its body and make it bleed. The mirror image stabilized its body and stepped on form displacement phantom. It transformed into several afterimages and approached Yi Chunfeng at an extremely fast speed. Profound frost spirit water. When Yi Chunfeng erupted with 400,000 jin of strength and wanted to force it back, the mirror image released a bone-chilling cold qi that froze Yi Chunfeng's body. Not good. Yi Chunfeng didn't think that the mirror image would be able to replicate the power of the profound frost spirit water. His heart trembled, and he quickly erupted with a powerful physical strength, wanting to shatter the ice on his body. However, at this moment, the mirror image completely replicated his earlier attack. The palm strike, which was filled with 400,000 jin of force, shattered the ice and landed on his chest, sending him flying. His entire chest sunk deep into his body, and a large amount of blood spurted out from his mouth. If Yi Chunfeng hadn't cultivated to 60% of the bone-forging realm and his physical defense hadn't greatly increased, then this palm would have been enough to blow apart his body and kill him on the spot. Damn, how can I defeat this mirror image? Yi Chunfeng clutched his sunken chest and crawled up from the ground with difficulty. Looking at the mirror image walking over with heavy steps, despair appeared in his heart for the first time. It could be said that in order to defeat the mirror image, Yi Chunfeng had used all of his abilities, but he was still unable to heavily injure the mirror image. His heart sank to rock bottom. It's over. You can die now. The mirror image held the titanic fault heavenly sword and walked over to Yi Chunfeng, whose confidence had been shaken. Killing intent filled his eyes. After saying this, a terrifying sword light cut through the void, cutting down on Yi Chunfeng. It wanted to cut his body in half and end his life. At the critical moment, Yi Chunfeng summoned his golden peng wings. With a fierce flash, he raised a hurricane and narrowly dodged the mirror image's sure-kill attack. He flew into the air. Do you think you're the only one with monster beast wings? The mirror image glanced emotionlessly at Yi Chunfeng, who had fled into the air. It condensed a pair of wings that looked exactly like the golden rock's wings. With a violent flap, it flew into the air. Looking at the rapidly approaching mirror image condensed golden peng wings, Yi Chunfeng despaired. Damn, this mirror image can copy all of my abilities. Is he really undefeatable? He already didn't know how to defeat the mirror image. It's over. Just as Yi Chunfeng's mind was shaken and his will to fight was shaken, the mirror image rapidly flapped its golden peng wings, turning into a dark golden blur that approached Yi Chunfeng. In the next moment, a waterfall-like sword light slashed down from the void. It cut through the air and ruthlessly slashed at the heavily injured and slow-dodging Yi Chunfeng. Boom! Yi Chunfeng was unable to dodge in time. He was struck by the space-tearing sword light. His entire body was like a kite with its string cut. He crashed heavily into the ground, creating a large crater. Large amounts of blood uncontrollably spurted out from his body. Is it over? Am I really going to die here? Chapter 218. I told you long ago that I am undefeatable. You should just obediently admit defeat, the mirror image said arrogantly as it looked down at Yi Chunfeng. No, I haven't lost yet. Even if I only have one drop of blood left, I won't admit defeat. The mirror image's arrogance stirred up Yi Chunfeng's blood. The fighting spirit that he had just lost returned. He struggled to stand up and looked at the mirror image fearlessly. Why? Are you still not admitting defeat? The mirror image asked in surprise. It did not expect Yi Chunfeng to be able to stir up such high fighting spirit in such a desperate situation. In my life, there is no such thing as admitting defeat. Yi Chunfeng, who was covered in blood, raised the gigantic fault heavenly sword high and pointed at the mirror image. Come on, let's continue fighting. Let's see who can survive to the end. Interesting. When the mirror image saw Yi Chunfeng pointing the tip of his sword at it, the corners of its mouth curled up slightly, revealing a cold smile. A terrifying aura surged towards Yi Chunfeng in an overwhelming manner. Burning blood. Facing the aura released by the mirror image, Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and burned all the blood in his body. He stabilized his injuries and increased his strength. The reason why Yi Chunfeng chose to burn his blood and not his life was because he felt that the mirror image was a life form. It was very likely that it could replicate the life soul technique. However, when they were fighting, Yi Chunfeng realized that no matter how injured the mirror image was, it did not bleed. He guessed that there was no blood in its body, and that it could not burn its blood. Burning blood. Seeing Yi Chunfeng burning his blood and increasing his strength, the mirror image frowned. It did not replicate Yi Chunfeng's method. Indeed, the mirror image cannot replicate the burning of blood. When Yi Chunfeng was burning his blood, he realized that the mirror image was indifferent. He knew that he had made the right bet. The mirror image had no blood in its body and could not burn its blood to increase its strength. After burning his blood, Yi Chunfeng reached the peak of his strength. He flapped his golden rock wings vigorously, stirring up gusts of wind as he continued to attack the mirror image. Pring pring ping, Yi Chunfeng and his mirror image were fiercely fighting each other. Dazzling sparks were ignited as the ferocious attacks raged in the air. They were fighting each other with speed and strength. The terrifying attack tore thousands of holes in the cold air. Countless pieces of ice shattered, and a huge sound like a huge bell reverberated between heaven and earth. It's useless. You are destined to be no match for me. I can't kill you. Although the mirror image's attacks were suppressed by Yi Chunfeng's burning aura and soaring fighting spirit, the mirror image's defensive capabilities were too terrifying. Yi Chunfeng's continuous attacks were unable to cause any serious damage to its body. Really? Why do I feel like your aura is starting to decline? Although Yi Chunfeng was still unable to heavily injure the mirror image, his heart was not affected at all. Yi Chunfeng cleared away all distracting thoughts in his mind and only focused on attacking. He firmly believed that he could surpass himself and defeat the mirror image. His attacks were slowly suppressed by Yi Chunfeng, who was burning his vitality. The mirror image with its terrifying defense began to counterattack with all its might, wanting to regain the initiative. Cloud-shattering palm. The mirror image roared and compressed its strength to the extreme. The cloud-piercing palm dragged a bright light shadow as it struck towards Yi Chunfeng. Whoosh! Yi Chunfeng's wings flapped, and his body rose into the air. As he dodged the mirror image's attack, he slashed down with his titanic fault celestial sword, aiming for the mirror image's head. After a series of intense battles, the mirror image's consumption was very obvious. It did not take Yi Chunfeng's attacks head-on like it did at the beginning. Instead, it dodged with all its might. Didn't you claim to be invincible? Why are you dodging in fear? This is not your style. Yi Chunfeng looked at the mirror image that was dodging his attacks and sneered without holding back. Kill! Yi Chunfeng's words hurt the mirror image. He roared and continued to attack Yi Chunfeng with his titanic fault heavenly sword. The two of them did not give way to each other and continued to fight fiercely. From the sky to the ground, from the glacier to the river, Yi Chunfeng and the mirror image fought tirelessly for more than 2 hours. There was still no clear victor. Feeling his vitality weakening, Yi Chunfeng gritted his teeth and burned his vitality again. He forcefully increased his strength and fought with the mirror image to the death. Titanic fault heavenly sword, attack with all your might. Just as the two of them were fighting fiercely, Yi Chunfeng roared. A ferocious blood dragon appeared on his body. His soul power, sword force, and strength were all infused into the titanic fault heavenly sword. He slashed at the exhausted mirror image with all his might. Boom! The two of them clashed, creating a huge storm. The powerful force caused both of them to tremble and retreat uncontrollably. Slash! After the first attack, Yi Chunfeng did not give up. He ignored the numbness in his arms and held the titanic fault heavenly sword tightly with both hands. He slashed at the mirror image, whose expression changed slightly. After the second attack, Yi Chunfeng and the mirror image both worsened their injuries. The powerful aftershock caused Yi Chunfeng to bleed profusely. Large amounts of blood spurted out from his mouth. Slash! His injuries were getting worse, but Yi Chunfeng's aura was like a beacon that shot up into the sky. He roared like an invincible god of war. He held the gigantic fault heavenly sword in his hand and slashed down for the third time. He slashed at the mirror image, whose pupils shrank and expression changed drastically. The powerful sword slashed at the mirror image and sent it flying. 7 Swords of Judgment, Extreme Chill. After slashing at the mirror image 3 times, the perfect sword force gushed out of Yi Chunfeng's body and deduced the power of the great Tao above his head. Following that, the terrifying power of the great Tao turned into extreme chill sword light and shot down recklessly. It was like a waterfall flowing backwards. It was very powerful and slashed at the mirror image, who had lost control of his body. Extreme chill. After being attacked by Yi Chunfeng's 7 Swords of Judgment, the mirror image forcibly stabilized its body. Without hesitation, it copied the power of the great Tao and used the same move to counterattack. The 2 attacks that contained the power of the great Tao collided, creating a huge shockwave. A terrifying explosion occurred in the sky. The dazzling light swallowed up all the light in the surroundings. The terrifying aftershock instantly engulfed Yi Chunfeng and the mirror image, destroying their bodies crazily. 7 Swords of Judgment, Extreme Chill. Yi Chunfeng used the power of his qi and blood to withstand the destructive aftershock. He ignored the damage to his body and stimulated all the potential in his body. He used the 7 Swords of Judgment again. This time, he integrated the power of his qi and blood into it. A dazzling sword light of the great Tao shot into the sky. It was mixed with the profound chill spirit water and 400,000 pounds of force. It was as if it was going to split the world in half. This sword slashed through everything. This sword looked down on everything. The invincible sword force slashed at the mirror image's body, which had turned pale with fright. The mirror image's body was split in half. Boom! The mirror image's mysterious mirror image shattered. The terrifying mirror image turned into a ball of dark blue energy and floated in the air. Following that, a slowly rotating black hole appeared at the end of the road of ice and snow. Huff, huff!